Great games, great moments on NBC.
Monica to Charlie Smith. Smith is hitting and he scores! What a game!
Super Bowl record, the first refrigerator to score.
NFL 86 is brought to you by Taco Bell, the cure for the common meal, and by the full line of 1986 Volkswagens.
And hi again, everybody. I'm Bob Costas, and welcome to this first edition of NFL 86. To start off, let's introduce you to the crew. Ahmad Rashad is back, and later in the program, he'll have a feature on Jim Kelly, who debuts today as the quarterback of the Buffalo Bills as they host the Jets. Now, we have swung a pair of major off-season deals, one with ESPN to acquire the services of Paul McGuire, and another with Sports Illustrated to get Frank DeFord, who will have our weekly commentary for us. Now, this is a doubleheader Sunday on NBC. Early, many of you will see Chicago beginning their defense of their Super Bowl crown. The Bears will host the Browns. Also, Houston at Green Bay. The games beginning at 4 Eastern Time include the Raiders in Denver. They get right down to it in the AFC West. This might be football's best rivalry at present. There's a chance of rain today at Mile High Stadium. Miami plays at San Diego. It's a Marino-Fouts duel. And the Jets-Buffalo game definitely will include Jim Kelly starting at quarterback for the Bills. Now, a couple of notes around the league. Dan Marino has signed a new contract with the Miami Dolphins. It makes him football's highest-paid player. He'll get more from Miami than Jim Kelly now receives from Buffalo. That's the good news for the Dolphins. The bad news is that Don Shula has suspended nose tackle Mike Charles, who is a good one, for at least 4 games. The reason? Well, he showed up late for practice a couple of times, and we have learned he also refused yesterday to take a drug test. Upon that refusal, Don Shula suspended him and reactivated the veteran defensive lineman Doug Betters. In college football last night, these are just the night games involving top 10 teams. Penn State, an easy winner over Temple, 45-15. The AP ranks the Nittany Lions as number 6 in the country. Nebraska got to use all their players because they're appealing those suspensions in the ticket scandal. They won't know about that for a few more days. So they used the full squad and won at home against 11th-ranked Florida State, 34-17. Tennessee was without 10 players who have been suspended, but nonetheless, they beat New Mexico, the Volunteers taking it 35-21. A boxing card last night in Las Vegas. Michael Spinks, as expected, retains his IBF heavyweight championship with a 4th-round TKO of Norway's Stefan Tangstad. And Mike Tyson, who someday might meet Michael Spinks, continues his relentless march toward the heavyweight title with an easy TKO in the 2nd against Alfonso Ratliff. Baseball scores last night involving pennant race teams. The Angels clobbered the Yankees again 9-2, while Texas kept pace with the Angels, a 6-4 win against Kansas City. In the American League East, Boston leads Toronto by 5.5. Both those clubs won yesterday afternoon. The Yankees are fading their 9.5 and all but done. In the West, the Rangers trail the Angels by 6.5. In the National League West, Houston and Cincinnati both won yesterday. The lead is 7 for the Astros over the Reds. In the National League East, the Mets, 20.5 in front of the Phillies with a magic number of 8. Now, when we come back on NFL 86, Paul McGuire has an inside look at the NFL.
Get your motor running. Head out on the highway. Looking for adventure.
Burgers are boring.
And whatever comes our way.
So's being like everybody else.
Born to be wild.
Taco, Taco Light, Taco Bell Grande. Anything but boring. From Taco Bell, the cure.
And now here's the man who played in 6 AFL title games as a linebacker and punter with the Chargers and Bills, the pride of Buffalo, Paul McGuire. Let's get right to the picks. The Bears are home, a 10.5-point pick against the Browns at Soldier Field.
Well, the Bears are going to repeat. They'll be Super Bowl champions. But if I were in Cleveland, I'm going to tell you right now, I'd be awfully mad because 10.5 points, they forgot about Mack and Biner, 2,000-yard carriers. Obviously, Bernie Kosar will not do anything today as far as the odds makers are concerned with the 10.5 points. I think the Cleveland Browns can win this football game, and Kosar will have a good day.
What about the off-season turmoil? And it continued in the training camp regarding the Bears, Otis Wilson, Jim McMahon, Mike Ditka firing remarks back and forth. Any concern there?
None whatsoever. I mean, how many times have you talked to Ahmad and other people, but you didn't really mean it? Well,
yeah,
of course,
I did.
maybe you might have meant it.
No, I did mean it. I meant every
know
word
Ahmad
of it.
meant it, but maybe you didn't mean it. But they don't mean anything. It fires the guys up. It gets them going.
All right, the Jets are a 6-point pick at Buffalo. Kelly does start for the Bills.
Kelly starts, can throw the ball. Can these players catch? We don't know that. Freeman McNeil will have a big day. May get 200 yards, and the Jets will cover. Kelly is a great quarterback.
All right, so the Jets easily cover the 6. Meanwhile, in the AFC West, they're going to get right down to business. One of the best rivalries in all of football. In Week 1, they go at it. Denver, a 2.5-point pick. It's down 0.5 point in the last 24 hours against the Raiders. The last 3 games they've played have all gone overtime.
Bob, this is war. We're talking war here. They hate each other. They really and truly hate each other. Now, the Raiders beat them twice last year. And Denver, you remember those things. You don't remember how you played, but you remember that someone beat you. The Denver Broncos want this game so badly. The only thing that will take them away from winning this football game, and I believe that, is if they have some lack of concentration because they have the better personnel.
So you think they'll win it by better than a field goal?
I think they'll win it by at least 10.
All right, now everybody knows that the Raiders are not enthralled with Mark Wilson. In fact, we keep hearing that they have interest in Jim Everett, the Purdue quarterback, who's the only unsigned number 1, third player taken in the draft, and the Oilers can't sign him. You think the Raiders are after Everett?
After Everett? Did you forget about something that happened a few months ago? The Raiders wanted Jim Kelly so badly. They offered $2.5 million cash plus 2 number 1 draft choices for just the rights to talk to Jim Kelly. Does that tell you anything about how they feel about Mark Wilson?
Ralph Wilson evidently didn't need the dough in Buffalo. He wanted Kelly.
He wants Kelly. Kelly's going to fill the house.
Speaking about teams that have weaknesses at quarterback, why do you think nobody's even taken a nibble as far as Doug Flutie's concerned?
Well, first of all, he couldn't make it in the USFL. Second of all, with the big man, you know that he's short. Well, you know how that is, being short. So I don't think he could play in the National Football League. I don't think he could get over the line of scrimmage.
I think in a certain sense the man is a giant. All right. Indianapolis plays at New England, and the Patriots are a 9.5-point pick.
Not to belabor a point, but they'll prove a point. The fact that all the things that happen in the offseason are all bull. It's gone. It's finished. It happened. They want to prove a point. They're going to prove the point maybe in the first quarter and beat the spread there.
All right, you covered the USFL the last few years for ESPN. Forget about the merits of the lawsuit and the league overall. What about the quality of play? How good was it?
If you compared it to last year's Tampa Bay and Buffalo's records, yeah, they were good. They might have beaten them once or twice, but that's all.
So the best teams in the USFL, the Stars, the Generals, could they have played 500 in the NFL?
They wouldn't have a chance of playing 500, even if Kelly would have been with the New Jersey Generals. It just wouldn't have happened. They had some quality individual players, Bob. But as far as overall, no way.
And, of course, one of those quality individuals, Jim Kelly, who makes his much-anticipated debut in Buffalo today against the Jets. When we come back, Ahmad Rashad with the story on the $1 million bill as NFL 86 continues. You know, no one will ever confuse Buffalo for Paris, but Ahmad Rashad, you played there for the Bills, and you know it's a truly good sports town. If a guy does well there, the fans will embrace him.
You know, Bob, I have played, so to speak, in Paris, and they embrace you there when you do well.
Oh, man.
But, you know, for the true sports fan, the key word is optimism. Well, without it, what do you have? Well, for the last couple of years in Buffalo, it hasn't been only tough to have optimism, but it's also been tough to be a fan. Well, enter Jim Kelly, the savior from the USFL. First, Kelly says, I hate Buffalo and I never want to play there. Then Buffalo comes back and says, how about $8 million? Then Kelly says, I love Buffalo, and I'll be there as fast as I can. And that was the scenario for the new beginning in Buffalo, the Jim Kelly era. As a result of exciting play, fans across the country have developed a unique cheer, the Wave. In Buffalo, because of non-exciting play, they have their own version, the two-man wave. And it's a direct result of the kind of play that has plagued this team for the last 2 years. In that time, they've won only 4 of 32 games, mainly because of too many plays like this. But hope springs eternal. Bills owner Ralph Wilson made Jim Kelly, the former USFL quarterback, Buffalo's $8 million man.
I go without a prepared speech because for some reason, we're kind of low on funds right now.
The Bills' justification for laying out so much money was, while Kelly played for the Houston Gamblers, he threw for a phenomenal 83 touchdown passes in 2 seasons. In 1973 and 1974, when O.J. Simpson was in his heyday, the Buffalo Bills were one of the top teams in the National Football League as far as attendance goes. But since then, they've fallen on some hard times. But now, with the signing of Jim Kelly, the optimism around Buffalo is at an all-time high.
Jim Kelly's going to take us to the Super Bowl.
This year?
Yes, sir.
This Sunday, Bills going to win.
Are they going to be any better this year?
They sure are.
Why?
Because they're all going to be good, and because Jim Kelly is here.
Are the Buffalo Bills going to be any good this year?
Of course.
Why?
Because they have Jim Kelly.
Everybody accepted me pretty well, and the people have all been telling me, oh, you're going to be a savior. And I keep saying, hey, there's 10 other people on the field. I can't catch the ball, and I can't block. So as long as I get everybody behind me, I think this team's going to be a good one.
Well, not only are the people here in Buffalo very excited about you being here, but just take a look at this. This is something that one of these New York Jets guys said.
Knowing that he's making that kind of money is going to add some incentive to get back there and see what we can do against supposedly the best. So, we've got to get back there and do our best to put him on his back and show him that the NFL is not like the USFL. It's the big leagues.
As far as a quarterback, they're always one of the highest paid players, and everybody's going to be after him, of course. When I was little, everybody was after the quarterback after me then. And when I played defense, I was always after the quarterback. So it's nothing new to me. Everybody's after me. I know that going into the game, but the big thing is you can't worry about that. If you're going to worry about it, you shouldn't even be playing football.
In spite of all the athletic talent that Kelly brings to this young Buffalo Bills squad, the most important element may be his leadership ability.
We get the personnel to do it. It's just a matter of everybody getting used to winning. They're so used to, losing that it gets in their mind if they ever get down, they just stay down. But coming in here, everybody had I think, a different respect as far as in their mind because they want to win. And I think they're tired of losing.
Everyone in Buffalo expects miracles from Kelly. He's only had a short time to prepare for his NFL debut, but he's not overwhelmed by the challenge.
It's an adjustment period for myself. It's just a matter of nobody getting overexcited when, if I throw a mistake here or have a mistake there. It's just everybody staying calm and hopefully, I learn each week.
It hasn't been only the fans of the Buffalo Bills that he's excited, but also the governor of New York, Mario Cuomo.
And, I just want to thank you very much for the telegram because it really meant a lot to me. Who knows, maybe I'll be able to take his team to Super Bowl and get a call from the president next.
Opening day of the season. It's a day when fans' hope is a little bit stronger than memory, and Jim Kelly will be out there trying to erase all those bad memories. Now, a couple things that I was really impressed with in watching him in practice. One was his accuracy. In the USFL, he completed almost 63% of his passes, and in practice, there was no pass that he had trouble throwing. There was a lot of them that the receivers had trouble holding on to, but that's another story altogether. And the other thing that's even more important was the leadership ability of Jim Kelly. A lot of times when a player comes in, he gets all the money, he gets all the attention. A lot of times the players can be a little bit jealous, but that's not the case there. And just a short time that he's been there, all the players have accepted him, and they realize that this guy is their leader.
Now, how sophisticated can his approach be today? How well will he be able to audible at the line of scrimmage, given the short preparation time?
Bob, I expect the Jets to try to give him all kinds of different looks to try to confuse him. And the only thing that he can do to try to combat that is go to Jerry Butler deep. Because the only thing you do to keep a defense honest, throw the ball long. Jerry Butler is one of the best long ball receivers in the game. And Jim Kelly can throw the ball as well as anybody I've ever seen.
All right, Ahmad. Now, will the Bears repeat? As you know, that's one of the major questions facing Western civilization. Frank DeFord addresses that issue when we come back.
Last year was good. I like winning, and I love New Orleans. Now people keep saying, hey, how'd you do it? Well, if I told you, it wouldn't be a secret now, would it?
Hi, Pete.
Taco, Taco Light, Taco Bell Grande. Only from Taco Bell, the cure for the common meal.
I'm sure that millions of you have enjoyed the extraordinary work of Frank DeFord through the years at Sports Illustrated. 3 times his peers have voted him the National Sports Writer of the Year. He's a novelist, screenwriter, and now he faces his sternest test, trying to add a touch of class to this menagerie. So, my man, have at it.
Thank you very much, Bob. It's nice to walk the other side of the street for a while. Paul's already picked the Bears for the Super Bowl, and I won't argue with that, but Chicago has an even greater challenge this year. Last year, the Bears were merely trying to become champions of the NFL. Win this year, and they might very well become folk heroes, an institution. This is not an easy thing for any team to do either. Pittsburgh, for example, was clearly the class of the 70s, and it could whip Dallas on the field, but the Steelers could never replace the Cowboys in the hearts and the souvenir stands of the nation. Dallas became America's team because it was such an extraordinary mix. The military-sexual complex. There was technocracy in the front office, scripture in the locker room, and on the sideline, just enough glittering Las Vegas-y sex to tease other baser instincts. But hey, it all worked. Frankly, though, I think Dallas was finished as America's team the instant that Roger Staubach left. He was the field admiral, the dream glue that held the image all together. Now, maybe Herschel Walker can assume that old Staubachian role. But more likely, it seems to me, is that it'll be the Bears who will at last supplant Dallas as our national team. Something only, and think about this now, something that only the Yankees and Dodgers, the Celtics, Packers, Cowboys, and Notre Dame have ever been at any time in our American sports mythology. And Lord knows the NFL needs it. Commissioner Rozell's passion for parity is insane. You out there, you don't tune in to watch a bunch of mediocre teams play each other. It's stars and dynasty that sell sport. Now, for perfect example, because the Bears are playing an AFC team today, we've got them for you. ABC has Chicago 3 times on Monday night, and I guarantee you that the Columbia Broadcasting System, which owns the rights to most of the Bears games, will put the champions on the tube so much that by the end of the season, you'll think that CBS stands for Chicago Bears Showcase. The Bears, you see, are not just a winner. Good grief, they even made a celebrity out of an assistant coach that nobody had ever heard of before last year. Their heroes are named Sweetness, Mad Mac, and the Refrigerator. I mean, you gotta love it. Let's hope the Bears win. I'm tired of having to cuddle up to some new Cinderella team every November. America needs a juggernaut for the 80s that half the country loves, half the country hates, but that everybody in the country knows. That's it for now, Bob.
Well, Frank, I can guarantee you one thing. The Cowboys will not relinquish the mantle of America's team without a fight, and apparently this year they plan to do it with a combination of talent and controversy. Standing by live in Dallas, where they've just completed their practice for tomorrow night's game with the Giants, Bill McAtee with the Cowboys' Tony Dorsett and Herschel Walker. Bill?
All right, thank you very much, Bob. Is there a sense that you guys maybe have lost the mantle a little bit of America's team? I know it's probably not something you guys wanted to begin with.
We never asked to be called America's team in the first place. So, there's been a lot of controversy in Dallas, and it's no different than any other camp this time of year. But, to be called America's team is one thing, but to go out and play like America's team is another.
Now, we were talking a little bit earlier about Herschel signing. When Herschel signed, you made a lot of noise about that. Things have quieted down a lot since then. I'm wondering what has happened between now and then to pacify you.
Well, I've sat down and thought the matter out a little more intelligently. I was caught at a vulnerable situation, at a vulnerable time, should I say, and handled the situation poorly. Once I sat down and thought about it with a little more intellect, I decided to handle things or matters a little better.
Herschel, what was going through your mind when all this was happening?
Well, not much, because I understood what Tony was going through at the time. And, I'm a football player, and I try to leave all the, the front office business there because I know nothing about it. And I leave it all up to the people that I'm paying to go out and do the job. And, I understood what Tony was going through, and I just wanted to support him.
Let's talk about something on the field. You did this early on in your career with New Jersey. Considering the Cowboys' depth at this position and the injuries, would it surprise you at all if you lined up at some point at wide receiver?
Not really, because, when I came in this organization, I came late. So I think right now the best thing that I could do is just try to contribute to the team. And wherever they can put me to, I contribute to the team. I think it'd be for the best for me and the team.
Would you like that position?
Yes, I like that. I love to catch the ball. And, I never say I'm the best receiver in the world, but I get out there and try.
Tony, Everson Walls walked out of camp. You look good, I got to tell you. Everson Walls walked out of camp earlier this week. What are the odds that he'll be in uniform tomorrow night?
It's really hard to say. It's similar to what Herschel said. That's front office. That's a front office situation, and I'll try to stay out of that. But we're hoping as his teammates that he'll show up for us, because we know we need Everson extremely bad out there. In that position, if he's not there, we're pretty young and green, and we know Phil Simms will be going that way.
Tony Dorsett, Herschel Walker, thank you both very much. Good luck this season. Let's send you back to New York. Robert?
All right, William, thanks very much. Now, earlier today, Ahmad, Paul McGuire said not only does he think the Browns will make it close today against the Bears, he thinks they have a chance to win. Your thoughts?
Well, Paul said that they won't win by 10. I agree. They'll win by 20.
A 3-touchdown easy win for the Bears, right? All right, now, no matter what scores you're trying to follow, remember, NBC's new innovation, the 10-minute ticker, will keep you up to date. No matter what game you're watching throughout the year, on NBC, every 10 minutes you'll see the scores of games in progress superimposed on your screen. And when we come back at halftime, we'll not only have all the highlights, we'll have the world premiere of the Raiders video. Some dudes doing some serious rapping there. See you at halftime.
WMAQ-TV, Channel 5, Chicago.
The National Broadcasting Company presents the National Football League. Today, from Soldier Field, it's the Cleveland Browns versus the Chicago Bears. Brought to you by Ford and your local Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately? By Budweiser, Beechwood Age for that clean, crisp taste. This Bud's for you. And by STP, makers of STP oil treatment. We've got what it takes to perform.
Last January Super Bowl, Mike Ditka's Chicago Bears complete an omnipotent year, the NFL's best by far, and the city of Chicago cheered its first major championship in 22 years. The day after the Super Bowl, despite a bitterly cold day, chill factor 35 below zero, some 450,000 crowded the Loop to hail their heroes. And today, a new season begins with a continued celebration minutes ago, the raising of the NFL championship pennant. And then, a champion's welcome as the Bears' 86th edition return to Soldier Field for their opener today against the Cleveland Browns. A crowd of 66,000 plus sold out at Soldier Field, a crisp, clear Chicago football afternoon, temperature 60 degrees. Hello, everyone. Dick Henberg with Merlin Olsen. And this is the 67th NFL year. We haven't been in all of them, but 10 now for us together. And appropriately, the Super Bowl champions and a charter member, the Chicago Bears, best in the NFL last year, meet the Cleveland Browns, best of the AFC Central, and they've made some changes.
Well, Dick, it's not logical, you'd think, if you have the best defense in football and you've dominated, to make changes, but the Bears have done exactly that. Buddy Ryan is gone. Vince Tobin is the new ringmaster of the Bears defense, and he has kept the defense under wraps through the preseason. They're supposed to unwrap the package today. Everyone is waiting to see what it looks like.
I know you're excited about that, as well as the fact that Cleveland Browns were those two 1,000-yard rushers last year, Biner and Mack, and yet they're going to change offensively.
I think a more realistic change for Cleveland. They can beat the average teams, the poor teams, with the running game. But to beat the good teams, they've got to have a passing game. Lindy Infante has been hired as the offensive coordinator to see if he can add balance to the Browns' attack. And we'll find out about that today, too.
Well, if 22-year-old Bernie Kosar had stayed at the University of Miami instead of signing with the Browns 2 years ago, he would have played a college game against Florida yesterday. Instead, he's going to face the monsters of the Midway.
Maybe no quarterback in football has ever been given as much responsibility with as little training as Bernie Kosar. At the same time, no one in this stadium has the kind of pressure today that Kosar has.
Marty Schottenheimer, 8-8 last year. Mike Ditka's Bears were 8-8 just a couple of years ago.
And Ditka looks at Schottenheimer and his Bears, and he sees his team of a few years ago improving and trying to find themselves coming on. Schottenheimer, one of the fine young coaches in the NFL, certainly has proved himself to be a real champion.
And he goes against Mike Ditka, NFL Coach of the Year last year. They lost only once in Miami. We're set to go as Matt Barr hits it end over end to the far sidelines. Thomas Sanders, number 20 for the Bears. He's at the 20, and the season is officially underway. The Bears in possession at their own 24-yard line, and Jim McMahon brings the Bears team onto the field. Offensively, there's that front wall. Van Horn, Thayer, Hilgenberg, Bortz, and Covert, their captain and best of the five. Marjoram and Gold are the wide receivers with the veteran Emery Moorhead at tight end. McMahon, the quarterback, with Matt Suey, the big fullback. The great Walter Payton, his sweetness behind him as the running back. Payton 140 yards from 15,000, the all-time NFL rusher, and just a couple of rushing touchdowns away from becoming the third man to hit that 100 mark and running into the end zone. McMahon from the 24. Payton in motion, the flip to Suey. The Browns shut him off after a 2-yard gain. The white jersey Cleveland defense, one of the best in the NFL, and they figure to be even better despite the loss of Don Rogers. Camp with Golick on the nose, a Pro Bowler, the veteran Carl Hairston on the outside. The linebackers, Chip Banks, been back in camp only a week. Eddie Johnson, the spirit of the defense, Griggs from Philadelphia, and Clay Matthews. At the corners, Minifield and Dixon. Dixon has a thigh bruise. Gross and Rockins replaces Rogers at safety. They figure to test Dixon early. Marjoram on his side at the moment. 2nd down 8. Suey. A couple, and that's all as the center of that Brown defense tough on the first 2 plays of the game. Chip Banks spearheading that defensive charge.
Dick, Mike Ditka said if Banks can come in and play after 1 week's practice, he's going to blow the whole theory of training camps. I think there are a lot of players cheering for Chip Banks today.
There he goes. He takes a breather on a passing situation. The ball at the 28, 3rd down and 6. Marjoram and Lou Barnes, the rookie, are wide right. Galt to the left with Dennis Gentry. Out of the shotgun, McMahon. Oh, the ball gets away back to the 10-yard line. This could be big trouble. It goes toward the end zone. Could be a touchdown if Cleveland can cover. It goes out of the end zone, and that will be a safety.
Now, wait a minute. Not officially signaled yet. No one got possession of that ball before it went out of the end zone. I believe the ruling will be safety, but we've got to let the officials sort it out down there.
No signal as yet from Ben Dreith, the referee. Easy to spot, the dark hat, Dreith. Schottenheimer knows whatever it is, it's good for the Browns and not for the Bears.
Reminiscent of the start of the Super Bowl, where the Bears fumbled early in that game and gave New England a chance to score. New England couldn't capitalize. Well, now they're talking to the replay officials upstairs to take a look at the replay. Well, we haven't had any replays of what happened on the field.
There are the men on the field, Ben Dreith with his crew, and then the instant replay official.
Here is the replay. The snap right over the shoulder of McMahon. It didn't look like McMahon was ready.
See if he had possession before he went out.
Now the question is, does he have possession before he went out of the end zone? And from that replay, it would appear that he may have indeed been able to get that ball and control it while he was in the end zone.
That angle, though, didn't really give total evidence. Al Gross, the safety from Arizona, was the man who came up with a football.
Here's another look at it, Dick, and see if it does give us a better look at it.
He tucks it there. He's in the end zone
I believe he is fully in the end zone before he... Unfortunately, hard to see through the body.
Possessed the football before it went out. It's touchdown.
So the use of the instant replay on the 3rd play from scrimmage in the new year already. The new rule in the National Football League, use of a instant replay official, has given the Browns a touchdown on an otherwise very confusing play.
Dick, in 31 games where they used the instant replay, they only reversed 2 plays. They would have reversed another one, but they couldn't get a hold of the officials. And here, within seconds of our opener, we have a critical call that results in a touchdown for the Browns.
Matt Barr to try the point after. And the Browns stun the Soldier Field crowd as they convert a Bear mistake into 7 points with just a minute 45 gone. Jay Hilgenberg, 63, the Pro Bowl center of the Bears.
Dick, look very quickly. McMahon looking to his left here. Hilgenberg snaps, and McMahon had no idea that ball was coming. That created the turnover here.
And eventually,
Al Gross covering the ball for the touchdown. Going back to the instant replay official, there was some delay there. Now, they can replay the picture as it is seen by you live. They have a device there. VHR, right? Whatever. And so they're making that decision and then perhaps confirmed also by our replay. This is Dennis Gentry in the open at the 30, and he's all the way to the 40. A foot race, and they're not going to catch Dennis Gentry all the way for a touchdown. Dennis Gentry, the fifth-year player from Baylor University, the mark of a great team. They fall behind 7-0 on a fumble and get the touchdown right back on the kickoff return.
It looked like Gentry was running right into the middle of the pack here. There are several Browns who have a chance at him. There's one right there. Harper gets a shot at him. Another missed tackle. 2 missed tackles. But just good leg strength by Gentry, who then proceeds to pull away from the pack and run it on into the end zone.
Kevin Butler, point after the tie. Steve Fuller will hold. And 21 seconds make that 19 seconds after Al Gross covers a fumble in the end zone for a Brown score. Gentry gets it back for the Bears. In 1986, every NFL game you watch on NBC Sports, every 10 minutes you will be updated on all the other scores. As you can see in the early going, no reports of other scores. We've already had 14 points here in Chicago.
Weren't we supposed to save some fireworks for the end of this game, Vic?
And a kickoff by Butler. Drives it to Fontenot. Wynn catches it. Fontenot at the 6. And he cannot get back to the 20. Dumped at the 18-yard line. Ron Rivera and Dave Duerson in on the hit. Dan Raines there as well. Well, since there's been no other scoring, a bit of history today, Merlin Olsen. The touchdown by Al Gross then becomes the first ever instant replay touchdown in the NFL. It took 67 years.
And here is the replay that makes history. You see McMahon getting a shot at it, the ball bouncing into the end zone. But Al Gross there in time to cover the ball, drop that shoulder to have possession before he went out of the end zone.
Ozzie Newsome in motion. Bernie Kosar. Dumped is Kevin Mack, who rushed for 1,104 yards last year to break Jim Brown's Cleveland rookie record. And William the Refrigerator Perry made the tackle.
Perry has really come on as a defensive player. You see him there in the middle of the line. 9 tackles last week, simply overpowering Babb on that play. Grabs Kevin Mack like he's a toy and throws him to the ground.
Perry somewhere between 310 and 330 pounds. 2nd and 16. Browns don't want to be in the long yardage situation, and there was contact before the snap. May have been Steve McMichael. Was he drawn off? Let's go back to the Gentry touchdown.
Offense, number 69.
Charged with being offside. Let's go back quickly and look at that touchdown run, because that was an exciting play. 2 missed tackles. Harper, number 23, will miss the first one as he comes up inside. Keep it going, fellas. There we go, right there. Harper is going to miss one right there, and then watch Felix Wright coming in from the top. All right, turn it loose. 2 defensive backs. Matt Barr also having a chance at him there, but that's one of the areas in which the Browns have wanted to improve their performance and have improved. But boy, that's about as big a special teams play as you're going to get against you during the season.
Gentry, who ran one back 94 yards for a touchdown against the Lions to close out last year. The penalty was against the Browns for illegal procedure, and they cannot move the football. Mike Singletary. He's a throwback to the Butkus days when he dominated the middle of that Chicago defense. Singletary, a Pro Bowler. And here is that Browns offense. Babb at center. Farron and Fike the guards. Bolden and Risen the tackles. They average 280 pounds. Ozzie Newsome, an all-pro at tight end. Greer and Slaughter, 2 new wide receivers. With the backs behind Bernie Kosar. Mack and Biner both rushed for over 1,000 yards last year. Nothing so far in this first possession. 3rd and long. From the Cleveland 12. Kosar in trouble.
Richard Dent, the Super Bowl most valuable player. He led the NFL with 17 sacks last year, and it doesn't take him long to wrap up his first this year.
Now, Mike Ditka has been rattling the Bear cage these last few weeks. One of the people that he accused of loping was Richard Dent. Well, Dent has shifted gears today, in from the outside, over the top of Ricky Bolden, and throws Bernie Kosar right on his back.
Jeff Gossett with his heels on the end line. Lou Barnes, the rookie from Oregon, back at the Bear 45. Kick is short. Takes the Browns bounce gently. Barnes at the 45-50 and to the 43 and hammered hard.
Too bad we can't get any action going in this game, Dick.
Wow. Scott Nicholas with a cracking tackle and a timeout at Soldier Field. Bears in Browns territory. Bears, after the punt return, 12 yards of a 52-yard kick, have it first down at the Cleveland 43. Marjoram in motion. McMahon to throw. Over the middle, wide open, Matsui, and a first down inside the 35-yard line, and a flag is down, and we may have a late hit
Reggie
against
Camp.
the Browns.
Number 96, Reggie Camp, coming in from his left defensive end position with a late hit on McMahon. Flag quickly down.
Personal foul, running into the quarterback. That's 15 yards and a first down.
Reggie Camp, here he comes, number 96.
Watch him from the right-hand side of your screen. The ball clearly away, and although Kemp is almost on the ground and almost on his knees, it appeared that he could have rolled the other way and gotten away from McMahon's legs. That's not the kind of play that will endear you to a quarterback or the quarterback's teammates.
Matsui with that catch, 200 receptions in his fine career out of Penn State. Nowhere close to Walter Payton, who is the current leader on this club with 422 starting the season. First down at the Browns 18. We're tied at 7. 10 minutes yet to play in the first quarter. And Camp, trying to make amends for that last penalty, is too eager and will pick up 5 more. Unless drawn offside. Officials have had more huddles already than either team.
They've got some pressure out there today.
Defense 96 came across and made contact. 5 yards.
Of course, the question being asked was, did anyone move? And as you can see from the picture, the only one to move was a very embarrassed Reggie Camp. And I think that happens frequently. You want to try and do something to make up for what you know was not a good play, a dumb play in that case, that has given the Bears outstanding field possession. You come back and make a second mistake.
Redskins take the early lead against Philadelphia. Field goal, Green Bay leading Houston by 3. First and 5. McMahon. Oh, right in the arms of the Cleveland Browns' Chip Banks. And Banks couldn't hold it. He had to be surprised that ball was thrown so cleanly right to his numbers.
Perhaps one of the side benefits of not being in camp. I think he'd have caught that ball ordinarily.
49ers have a touchdown lead against Tampa Bay. Atlanta leading New Orleans 7-0. 10-minute ticker. Every 10 minutes you'll be brought right up to date.
Look at Banks. Lower part of or middle of your screen, and that ball right through his arm. Well, I tell you, what an opportunity missed.
Banks, who has 5 career interceptions, it's 2nd down and 5. Suey dragged down. Matthews got him from the backside when the front wall held up the charge at the 10-yard line. Will bring up 3rd and short. And thus far, Walter Payton without a carry.
But an illustration of the strength of that Bear forward wall, what appeared to be a very nothing play, almost 5 yards on that gain, and they just pushed the Cleveland defense right back. 3rd and very short. Maybe this is Payton's chance.
3rd down and 2 at the 10. First down at the 6-yard line.
Clay Matthews finally made the tackle. And Payton, a money player, gets some big yards.
And you like to run in behind your strength, behind Bortz, who's pulling on that play, and Jimbo Covert. Good block by 26, Matt Suhey. And, of course, the great Walter Payton, who knows how to use his body so well. I'll tell you, the thing that amazes me is the kind of strength he still, in his 12th year, attacks the defense.
6 yards from taking the lead at 7-all. Payton with a 3, maybe better. Anthony Griggs, Hanford Dixon make the tackle. And here he comes, number 72, the refrigerator, William Perry, into the backfield. You know, when he was in grade school, the legendary now Perry actually won the lead in Swan Lake, the Ballet Swan Lake. He played the lake.
Well, the other thing we'll have to watch is the Browns are countering with a big man of their own. Dave Mazzulli, who is ordinarily a backup nose tackle, is in as a linebacker, and I believe that what he will do is square off with the bridge and go exactly where he goes.
The bridge in motion. Scary. Payton. Touchdown. 99 touchdowns rushing for Walter Payton.
The Browns' strategy was not bad, however. Pazzulli was able to negate Perry at the line, but Walter Payton just too much as he ran right through two tacklers to go over into the end zone.
Jim Brown, the great Cleveland Brown runner, 106 rushing touchdowns, the NFL record. John Riggins, the Diesel, with 104, and Payton, undoubtedly this year, will set a new standard, now has 99. Butler's try for point out of Fuller's hold. And the Super Bowl champions have the lead for the first time. A flag is down on the extra point. Bears go 43 yards in 6 plays.
Against the defense, the point will stand.
Defense lined up in the neutral zone. 31. Point good. 5 yards on a kickoff.
And we have a timeout with 7 minutes, 24 seconds remaining in the opening period in Chicago. The Bears 14, the Browns 7. Now the Bears' vaunted defense not only holding the Browns, but pushing them back near their own goal line. The punt carried back by Barnes to the 43-yard line. It took only 6 plays for Payton to get in the end zone and a 14-7 Chicago lead. Butler to kick it off. Skids one into the wedge, picked off by Scott Nicholas, a linebacker, and he's dropped at the 30-yard line. Let's go back to the play, a meeting of 72s.
Watch this now as Perry comes in motion and will freeze it right there. That's Pazzoli coming in from the outside, and he is going to negate Perry at that point. But Payton will continue on up and actually break 2 tackles. That's Griggs, 53, and number 29, Hanford Dixon. Now, that was actually good strategy by the Browns, but you can't overcome the talent of the great Walter Payton, who goes on into the end zone.
Ernest Biner sent way out to the right, and then Ozzie Newsome in motion. Kozar to throw. As a man, and completes to the far side at the 40-yard line to Webster Slaughter. Slaughter, the rookie from San Diego State and the number 2 draft pick of the Browns in the past year. He teams now with Terry Greer from Alabama State from the CFL. 2 new wide receivers. It's a young
team. And we mentioned the kind of pressure on Bernie Kosar today. Of course, that's a little bit deceptive in a sense that Greer has played 6 years in the CFL, so he is not truly a man without experience.
Not only played, but starred in the CFL, set some records. He was all CFL 4 times at Toronto. First down play at the 41. Big hole for Ernest Biner, and he crashes to the 50. Biner with 9 more. Make that Kevin Mack. 34 with a quick charge, and Dan Hampton finally chased him down.
Perhaps we can see what's going on in there. You see Singletary calling audibles for the defense, but he comes up inside to try and take on Ricky Boland, and Kevin Mack just makes a nice, or Ernest Biner just makes a nice adjustment to get back into the hole. Make a nice gain on that play.
Cut the track. They both have a 4 in their number. Kevin Mack 34 and Ernest Biner 44. 2nd and 1. Biner. Nothing there at all. Stopped right at the 50-yard line and sent on his way toward the Wisconsin border. Then Mineticker. Philadelphia still trails Washington by 3. Rams and St. Louis no score. Houston takes the lead against Green Bay. Detroit trails Minnesota 3-0. San Francisco jumps out to a 2-touchdown lead at Tampa Bay. Atlanta leads at New Orleans 7-0. Those are the other early games today. 3rd down, a long one. Bears with 7 men on the line of scrimmage. Biner trying to get outside. Maybe with that second effort has the first down, but it took some clever running by Ernest Biner to even get the yard plus. They teamed last year, only the 3rd in NFL history from the same backfield to gain 1,000 yards each, joining Franco Harris, Rocky Bleier, that marvelous tandem for the Steelers in 76, and back to Zonka and Mercury Morris at Miami. A first down for Cleveland. The Bears 48. 14-7 Chicago. 4.5 minutes remaining in this first period. Over the middle, open is Newsome. And the tight end of the Browns has a first down at the Chicago 34. Gary Fensick tripped him up after a 14-yard gain.
A chance for you to watch young Bernie Kosar responding very well to the pressure. Watch Dent coming in right here. Kosar knows where the open man is. Gets the ball out very quickly. Sidearm delivery, and I got to believe that sometime that's going to get him in trouble, but it certainly didn't hurt him there.
So Ozzie Newsome now has caught a pass in 99 straight games. First down from the 34 at Chicago. Kosar, that could be a lateral, doesn't make any difference. Wilber Marshall is going to go for a Chicago touchdown. 56 yards for Marshall.
In Chicago, they said it was just a matter of time until Wilber Marshall would be taking charge. Here he is, right in the center of your picture. Now watch him as well, you won't see it yet. You see him right there. What a great play by Wilber Marshall.
That ball was a lateral from our perspective.
It looked to be a lateral, and that's the kind of thing that I know that Lindy Infante has talked to Bernie Kosar about, not just flicking that ball away.
Butler to try the point after, and an explosive first quarter at Soldier Field. 21-7 Chicago. Let's go back and examine the Wilber Marshall play.
Wilber Marshall right here in the middle of your screen. Now watch him very quickly gets outside. He is coming on the blitz. Sees the receiver, reacts to the ball, and that's just a poor pass by Kosar, who thought he could flick the ball out there. But what a great reaction by Wilber Marshall.
Well, it's been a highlight show in Chicago. Let's see what's happening elsewhere.
All right, Dick, at Green Bay, trailing 3-0, Houston mounts a 69-yard, 13-play drive. Capped as Larry Moriarty wins this race to the flag for a 3-yard touchdown. And the Oilers, with Jerry Glanville beginning his first full season as their head coach, take a 7-3 lead to the second.
All right, thanks, Bob. Here in Chicago, 58 matches the yardage. Wilber Marshall goes 58 yards with that interception of a lateral pass and a touchdown. What a marvelous reaction. Look at Marshall. He's tied up with a defensive tackle, Bolden, reacts to the ball, makes a one-handed catch, and then outruns Kevin Mack. There's Mack back, and he is not gaining a bit on Wilber Marshall, 6'1", 225-pounder from Florida. And the Bear defense, needless to say, so dominant last year, and their presence felt, and in this case, for 7 quick points, already by the Browns today.
Now, we talked about the changes in the Bear defense. They have not changed one thing. They are still on top of you right from the word go.
Butler sends a low kick, and it's bouncing toward the sidelines and goes out of bounds for the penalty. And they'll have to kick it over. The wind is blowing from the northwest, and Butler, who knows the very tricky currents, aerial currents here in Chicago along the lake, not trying to defy the wind and kick it high, trying to kick it low and drive it through.
You see those boats in the background. That's what you do if you don't have a ticket for this game.
At halftime, our new NFL 86 team will bring you up to date on all the latest scores and news from around the league, plus the Los Angeles Raiders music video, Silver and Black Attack. That's all coming your way at halftime. Your host, Bob Costas, and his fine team enjoyed Frank DeFord's first presentation, and he feels the Bears might well be the team for the next decade. And Paul McGuire, what can you say about Paul?
Well, we can laugh because we love him.
We'll have fun with him all year long. From the 30, and this time he does kick it end over end. Down to 89, McNeil. He is the ice cube. Look out. And out across the 35 goes Gerald McNeil, 143 pounds, McNeil, from the USFL. And he is going to have a lot of fans in Cleveland. You have to like him. He would fit in the Refrigerator's jersey, and you wouldn't even know he was there.
143 pounds. And they say that's not cheating either. I watched him climb on the scale in the locker room, and there's the other end of the scale right there.
The Fridge has about 200 pounds on it.
Fridge could put him in his pocket, couldn't he, Dick?
I think so. 36-yard line. The Browns moved the ball effectively until the interception on their last possession. Now trail 21-7. Inside handoff to Biner, and Perry stacks it up with help from the secondary. Otis Wilson was there. Mike Richardson, too.
When I talked to Lindy Infante about his use of the one-back system, and he likes to use one back, put the other back, and that's going to be Biner that he'll use in motion, put him out as a wing, put him way outside as a wide receiver. And you've got to understand one thing. In order to play that position, you've got to be very unselfish. Biner, who made his 1,000 yards last year, will not make 1,000 yards this year because of the way he's being used. They very unselfishly accepted that new position.
Here's a case in point. Only Mack in the backfield behind Kozar. Biner flipped to the left. The throw and complete to Webster Slaughter, and a first down at the 48-yard line, and a penalty flag is down.
Well, Mike Babb trying to keep Dan Hampton out of there, and that's what Marty Schottenheimer said would be the key. You've got to keep Hampton out of there, but he didn't want Babb to do it by hanging on to him.
So the 10-yard gain nullified by a 10-yard penalty against Babb, who played his college ball at the University of Texas.
10 yards, second down.
Mike Babb, by the way, Dick, really spent a lot of time in the off-season trying to improve his play by working on his feet. Has always been tremendously strong and used to try and overwhelm people with his strength, but now is trying to use his agility and position. And that would not be good news. Ozzie saying, I've got a problem with that ankle. You see him checking the stability of it. Boy, they sure need him. He's as fine a tight end as has played the game.
Second and 20 now for the Browns. Kozar over the middle. Oh, what a catch. Brian Brennan with a very difficult catch in traffic. Brennan, the former top receiver for Doug Flutie at Boston College, has 12 yards, and that'll bring up 3rd and 8.
The Browns kept 6 wide receivers, and one of the reasons because no one really stepped out and took control. They also know they've got to have some bodies. These are not big receivers, the majority of them. That's probably the slowest of the receivers, but you can see right there why they kept him on their roster. He can catch anything.
Ball at the 39-yard line. Browns must get past their 46 for the first down. Less than 2 minutes left, first quarter. Kozar under pressure. Dumps it off to Biner. He's got some running room. What a move at the 50. Biner at the 40 and out of bounds at the Bears' 38-yard line. Ernest Biner with an all-pro move in the open field to turn a 7-8-yard run into one good for 23.
This is exactly what Lindy Infante was hoping to be able to do. to take Ernest Biner out of a set where everyone knew that you were going to run with two backs, give him some room to run. He's into the secondary. That's like a long handoff. He just blows by number 45, Gary Fensick, using his excellent speed, gets out of bounds with the first down. Watch the block right here. He gets just a little bump in there, gets away. It was Paul Farron, giving him some room to get out on that pattern.
Richard Danko showed his speed. He was the man who chased him down from behind for the tackle. Trailing 21-7. Incomplete to Terry Greer. And let's check that 10-minute ticker. Philadelphia now leads the Redskins 7-3 in the first. The Rams and St. Louis still scoreless. Houston 7-3 at Green Bay. 3-0 Minnesota over Detroit. San Francisco, a 2-touchdown lead. Atlanta leading New Orleans by 7. Here it's 21-7. The Bears leading the Cleveland Browns. 1:39 remaining in the first quarter. 2nd and 10 from the Bears' 38. So 2 of the 3 possessions for the Browns, they have penetrated Chicago's half of the field. But on the last occasion, the interception by Marshall led to a touchdown. This one completed right back to Kosar, who gets a yard on the play to the 37-yard line. So Kosar catches his own pass for a yard.
Does he get credit for a reception?
Yes, he does.
Now, I've got to believe that this is a nightmare for a quarterback. He can't throw the ball again. What do you do with it? The ball batted right back to him, and now he's got to do something with it. He looked like he wanted to go to the ground. He did pretty quick, but he actually got back beyond the line of scrimmage.
Wilbur Marshall was there again. It's 3rd and 9.
With Gary Danielson out with a broken ankle, they certainly don't want to take any risks with Kosar.
Right, Danielson went down in the last preseason game at Los Angeles against the Raiders. Kosar over the middle, incomplete, intended for Clarence Weathers. Mike Singletary on the coverage.
Schottenheimer wondering if maybe that hit wasn't just a little early. Singletary timing it out beautifully. Was able to make the bump just as that ball arrived.
Interestingly, apparently not going to go for the punt here at the Bears 37, the ball inside the 38. They're going to go for it on 4th and 9.
Well, they're kind of in between here. They don't gain that much by a punt, and it's a little far for a field goal.
Well, they challenged the best defense in the game. They need 9. Good protection. Kosar to Fontenot. It's going to be close.
He didn't make it, Dick.
He's at the 28-yard line, and they may be just a foot short.
Very uncharacteristic of Bernie Kosar. They haven't really asked him to roll out that much. He is not a running quarterback. He's a stationary quarterback, but he certainly does a job here. Feels the pressure. I don't know. It may have even been a planned rollout. Kosar getting to the outside, and Fontenot trying to catch his balance. Had that ball been thrown in front of him, he could have had a first down, Dick.
Well, it's a pleasure for us to be back with you here on NBC, and the next time we have some time, we're going to show you the largest ring ever made for a championship player. That is the refrigerator's ring. After the next play, we'll show you.
That's a bracelet for some people. I want to
for me, it is. On my thumb, it's loose. First down, Bears at their 28. McMahon to Payton. Walter Payton earned 3 yards. Here's a look at Perry's ring and gives you an idea of the Chicago Bears, the Diamonds. And there on this side, you can see team down below, the score of the Super Bowl game, the Super Bowl 20 logo. On the other side, the name of the player, the record, 18-1 record, and down in the bottom, attitude. That is my ring compared to the size of Perry's. Only Bronco Nagurski, who had a 22-23 size ring, required one that large.
Interesting that Mike Ditka would select those 2 words, and only those 2. Team and attitude. Kind of a reflection of the way he feels about the game.
Well, the team has the right attitude and the right score. 21-7, end of the first quarter.
These are special children, and this is a special place here in Cleveland. It's a unique United Way supported hospital devoted to helping children with chronic medical conditions. Hi, I'm Bob Golick of the Cleveland Browns, and this is my wife, Jackie.
And this is Health Hill Hospital. It's funded by the United Way here in Cleveland. This is Christina. She's lucky to be alive today. She was born with several chronic medical problems that kept her in hospitals for most of her young life.
When Brian was born with a narrowing of the esophagus, surgery was the only hope. There were 4 operations. And even when the operations were successful in creating a new esophagus for Brian, then he had to learn to eat for the first time. The children here at Health Hill are great. Despite their problems, they just don't quit. Thanks to your help and support through the United Way, they're going to make it.
So we can all say thanks.
Because thanks to you, it works. For all of us, the United Way.
This message furnished by the National Football League.
Ed Hughes, the offensive coordinator, and as he talked to his players, they're reminded immediately of that Super Bowl success. Those twin X's up there, Super Bowl 20, reminding his team.
On the other side of the field, we said that they had a new offensive coordinator in Cleveland. They actually technically have a new defensive coordinator, although Dave Adolph filled that role when Marty Schottenheimer's named head coach in '84, left the team last year, returns as the defensive coordinator. He will, however, be running Marty Schottenheimer's defensive system, so that is a continuous process for the Browns.
Adolph in San Diego with the Chargers last year. 2nd down and 7 as we open the second quarter, and it's Walter Payton blasting to the 39 and very close to a first down before 3-time Pro Bowler Chip Banks. Number 56 can make the tackle.
Mike Ditka says he wants to give Walter Payton a little less work this year. But one of the problems is that Payton doesn't want to come out of the lineup. He loves to play the game of football. And when you can play it that well, I don't blame him at all.
Now, you saw him at practice yesterday. Payton skipping rope. One of the most incredible scenes, you know how you skipped rope as a kid and you get someone else to invite you, the two of you would skip to the same rhythm? He invited the refrigerator in there to see Payton and Perry skipping rope in the same rhythm, and that's when Ditka blew the whistle and said, we better start practice.
But you see the measurement. Now watch as these chains are moved back to the sideline. One of the things that they have done this year, and I think it's a very good safety maneuver, is to move the chain gang back away from the immediate sideline. Look where they set up the chains now. Are they going to do it?
Not right on the line, but back up at about a foot.
No, they are setting it on the line. Okay, well. Now they're back a little bit. Anyway. Yeah, not very far. There you see them. Now they're moving far.
On the first down, it's Payton, no gain at the 40-yard line. Payton, who says he doesn't care who breaks his record for most rushing yards in the NFL, except he wants it to be his son.
Let's go back. Now you can see the chain gang moved back about halfway in that white area, which is supposed to be a no man's land. And, of course, very often players run to the sideline or running out of bounds on the sideline would get tangled in those markers. And we've had some injuries. Bubba Smith, for example, was hurt tangling with one of those chains a number of years ago. So that's something the NFL has done to try and protect the players.
Payton got a couple when it looked as if he was stopped for no gain. McMahon, good maneuverability, and an interesting pass attempt to Tim Reitman as tight end as McMahon just shovel passed it forward. Matthews and Griggs around Reitman, the tight end.
One of the things that the Cleveland Browns feel they have improved this year is their ability to pressure the quarterback. That man right there, 56, Banks, led the team in sacks last year, but they feel that Sam Clancy will help them this year. Interesting pass by McMahon, as you said, Dick. He's unhappy even when he flicks a throwaway pass and can't get it completed.
Now McMahon only one completion for 9 yards. Has 4 wide receivers in, Barnes, Gentry, Marjoram, and the long ball threat, Willie Gold. Gentry in motion. Over the middle. Payton, first down at the 50-yard line. They needed 8, he got 9. Dixon and Matthews with a tackle for the Browns. And Chicago here early in the second quarter has a first down at midfield with a 21-7 lead.
There is Clay Matthews, man, in on the tackle. You see him dropping in the middle of your picture. Has a little bit of a knee problem. They're concerned about him. He gets up, and you see that movement by Payton, and that marks the great backs, their ability to change direction. He looked like a dancer, back and forth so quickly, body always under control.
Well, he is a dancer. It was even going back to Jackson State when he won a Soul Train contest. Payton. 5, 10, 12 more yards for Walter Payton. Tom Thayer with a fine block as we check our 10-minute ticker. No significant change, although Houston picks up another touchdown to take a 14-3 lead in the second. And here it's 21-7 Chicago. The Bears with the lead and the ball. And Walter Payton continuing to rack up those large numbers. What a great, great player he has been and apparently will continue to be. First down at the 38. Payton, not much there. Here in Chicago, 21-7 Bears. Let's go to NFL 86.
Dick, in the second quarter at Green Bay, the Oilers take a 14-3 lead on the Packers on this 29-yard beauty from Warren Moon to Butch Woolfolk. They're without their number 1 draft choice, quarterback Jim Everett from Purdue, but if Moon continues to throw like that, maybe they won't miss him. Back to Dick and Merlin.
All right, Bob, Warren Moon and that Houston team, many feel they could be one of the surprises of this 86 year. That great offensive line, young, all number 1s. And Moon, superb athlete himself. Second down and 9, Chicago. Payton in motion. McMahon looking for him. He's got him. Oh, Payton had to turn back for the ball, trying to go upfield and still reach back and pick it off, and unsuccessful. Well, Merlin Olsen, the Browns, with Anthony Griggs now playing inside as a starter, and Tom Cousineau let go on waivers this past week.
Shock to a lot of people, Dick, as Griggs really was coming on, and I talked to Marty Schottenheimer about his reasoning, because it's obvious that Cousineau, who was picked up quickly by San Francisco, can still play in this league, but he said, I don't believe that you can keep a man on the roster if you take him out of a starting assignment, especially when you've got young players on the bench who are going to improve. You'd have to cut one of them to keep him. Well, that was his reasoning in this situation. I think the $500,000 salary may have had something to do with it, too.
Third and 9. Gentry. Dennis Gentry. He's one of the changes represented in the offense of the Bears, moving from halfback to wide receiver. And McMahon just missed connections.
Gentry had been used predominantly as a receiver out of the backfield, has great hands, and is learning the maneuvers and the moves of the wide receiver position. They feel he's going to be productive, but it's going to take a little bit of time for him to adjust to that new position.
Apparently, Kevin Butler will try to kick the longest field goal in his young NFL life. 46 was the longest last year. This one would be 54 yards. Steve Fuller, backup quarterback to hold. It's got the length, but it's wide to the left. So the Bears' first attempt to score here in the second quarter, a long attempt from 54 by Butler, is wide left. It remains 21-7.
Today's game is brought to you by Stroh's and Spro Light. Now you're talking good times, and Stroh's is spoken here. By U.S. Sprint, where every fiber optic call will sound like you're right next door. And by Ford and your local Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately?
After the long missed field goal, the Browns take over at their own 37-yard line, trailing 21-7, and it's Kevin Mack lurching forward to the 40. Mack, who played at Clemson, was the number 1 pick of the Browns in the supplemental draft, played with the L.A. Express of the old USFL. Steve McMichael, the tackler for Chicago. This telecast, presented by authority of the National Football League, is intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the express written consent of the Chicago Bears and the National Football League is prohibited. Second down and a long 7. Miner on a fake reverse, and Cozart to Mack, and Mack can't handle the pass. Would have had a first down. That's an interesting play. They gave it the reverse look and then sent Kevin Mack into the right flat, but couldn't hang on to the pass.
Kind of innovation. There's Vince Tobin. We mentioned his responsibilities as the trainer of this Bear defense. You see him signaling the defense, a quick signal, a very fundamental one. Puts the clipboard on top of his head. I believe that's Infante, but you see the signals will go in from the sideline over there with receivers onto the field.
3rd down and 7 inside the Browns 40. Down the middle, Brian with a catch at the 41-yard line and pays the price. Brian Brennan. Well, he's made 2 outstanding catches. He says, I'd like to pattern myself after a pretty good one up at Seattle, Steve Largent. He's made a couple of Largent plays.
Well, I got to tell you that Kosar better put a little bit of extra money in an envelope and give it to this kid. Look at that catch. Knowing he's going to take a shot at the end of it, he gets the hit from number 45, Gary Fensig. But he caught the first one well behind him, and this one is over his head. He doesn't care. He goes up and drags it down anyway.
Caught the back half of the ball at 19 yards to first down at the Bears' 40-yard line. That's Harry Holt, tight end in motion. And apparently they used more than their 30 seconds. Gives us a chance to remind our viewers that we'll be selecting the Budweiser Most Valuable Player for today's game. That'll come at the conclusion of this contest.
Offense, false start, number 74.
Paul Farron, the man called for that false start. This is a big offensive line for the Browns, and they've always liked the tall offensive lineman with a long reach. Talking to Mike Ditka as he looked at films of the Browns in action, and one of the things he mentioned was the size and the range of this offensive line. Their test today: give Kosar time to throw the football.
1st and 15. Kosar may be changing plays. On a blitz, he overshoots Mack.
And Dick, that defensive alignment was something that the Bears did not show all through the training camp. That's the new version of Buddy Ryan's 46 defense. They call it the Bear defense here now. They stack those 3 linemen in the middle, move Dent out to the outside, and about the only big adjustment you see, there you see the linemen stacked up inside. Kosar taking his time because he knew what was coming. You see the pass getting out of there just in time.
Otis Wilson.
Oof. Boy, they do come. I'll talk about that adjustment later, Dick.
Miner out on the wing to the left and Mack behind Kosar. 2nd and 15. Incomplete. In the crowd, Reggie Langhorne, Mike Singletary, closest Bear.
Again, the Bear defense employed on that play, and initially what the Bears did in the 46 defense was to put both linebackers on one side together and then bring the strong safety up on the other side. A very unusual deployment of linebackers. Now, instead of doing that, they're bringing the strong safety up on one side with one of the linebackers, leaving the other linebacker on the other side, and there are a few subtle adjustments, but basically it's still the same kind of defense.
Now they'll be teeing off here, 3rd down and 15. Kosar to Biner. What a move again by Ernest Biner, and he's close to a first down at the 32-yard line. Mike Richardson got him out of bounds.
Maybe close enough for them to try what they tried before, which was to pick up the first down on a 3rd down or 4th down situation.
Rams finally get some points on the board in that game in St. Louis, 6-0 Rams. Other scores are the same. Atlanta picks up another touchdown at New Orleans, 14-0. Well, that'll be a service I'm sure you fans will enjoy. You know that every 10 minutes you'll have all the scores here on NBC. Here it is 21-7. The Bears leading the Browns, and the Browns go for it. 4th and 1. A long one it is. 3 tight ends. It's Biner to the 30, and I believe he's got the first down.
All the matter of where they mark that football. Biner just burrowing into that mass of bodies. And they've marked the first down.
And we pause briefly from Chicago for station identification. This is the NBC Television Network.
WMAQ-TV, Channel 5, Chicago.
Welcome back to Soldier Field in Chicago. Dick Enberg with Merlin Olsen. The Cleveland Browns trailing the Super Bowl defending champion Chicago Bears 21-7. 8 minutes left in the first half, but the Browns have moved the ball effectively. A kickoff return for a touchdown by the Bears and an interception for a touchdown. The difference in that 14-point lead. Biner, no gain.
On the sideline, Ozzie Newsome, and he apparently has strained his Achilles tendon. He can't really push off of that right foot, and that has got him on the sideline. They're hoping they can get him back into the game because he's a critical part of this offense, and they miss him when he's not on the field.
No NFL tight end has ever caught more, and Newsome's 503. Second and 11. Kosar working into the wind. Here they come. And the quick throw, and that's going to be for a possible touchdown to Webster Slaughter, out of bounds at the 1-foot line. Slaughter, the rookie from San Diego State, and that is the risk of that all-out blitz that the Bears used last year, and they used in this instance. If you can make the quick hit, you've got a man one-on-one in the open, and Slaughter takes it to the 1-foot line.
You've got to find the open man. Kosar feels the pressure and gets the ball right on the money. 48, Reggie Phillips had a hold of Webster Slaughter's ankles. Watch it here as Fensick nails him on the sideline. Good call, I think, by the officials from that angle anyway. It looked like he was in the end zone.
29 yards for Slaughter, first and goal inside the 1. Biner trips over his own man, and he's down for a loss at the 2.
Wilbur Marshall, 58. Great play earlier, coming in underneath the stack and penetrating so far that he was able to take the legs right out from underneath Biner. Watch him on the right-hand side of your screen. Look at him going right underneath the stack. Looked like a mole going underneath there. Took Biner's leg right out from underneath it.
They lost 2 yards or more. The ball was on the 1-foot line. Now it's between the 2 and the 3. Mack and Biner behind Kosar. Big chance for the Browns to pull within a touchdown. They're going to go wide with Kevin Mack. And he has a touchdown. 3 yards for Kevin Mack, and it's 21-13, and Cleveland continues to impress on offense.
A very impressive drive, and they did it without Ozzie Newsome. They're probably their most valuable passing weapon. There were only 500 tickets given to the Browns. They almost had to ration those out one at a time. Browns very proud of this team. They're looking for big things.
What a block by Biner. Did you see Ernest Biner chop down that first defender?
Look out.
Barr tacks on the extra point, and with 6 minutes and 12 seconds remaining in the first half, it's the Chicago Bears 21 and the Cleveland Browns 14. Mack scoring from 3 yards out. The Bears allowed only 6 rushing touchdowns all last season. But it took a superb play in front of Mack to clear the way. Matt Barr to kick it off. Into the wind. Gentry, remembered, returned one for a touchdown. This one's all the way to the 22, number 20, Thomas Sanders. And through a crowd, he's down at the 27-yard line. Let's go back to Mack's touchdown run.
2 people to watch as we turn this thing loose. You'll see Dave Duerson, number 22, and Ernest Biner. Stop it right there. That's Biner underneath, and look at the block he throws right here to clear the way for his teammate Kevin Mack. Unselfishness is the word.
Soldier Field in Chicago. You're familiar with these environs. You played here, didn't you?
Dick, I played here in 1962 in the College All-Star game. There were still pits along the sideline, and they had the benches down in them so you could look over the top of the players and not miss the action.
Jim McMahon to Emery Moorhead on a tight end screen. And he's out to the 31-yard line.
That game, by the way, had some interesting connections to this game because Otto Graham was the coach, great Hall of Famer from Cleveland, and Dick Stanfeld coached the offensive line in that game. Of course, he's the Bears' offensive line coach.
Who were some of your teammates in that college All-Star game? That was against the Packers, right?
Against the Packers, a championship Packer team, Ernie Davis. And again, a tie to the Cleveland Browns, was the #1 draft pick that year. And tragically, while we were here getting ready for that game, discovered that he had leukemia and never did have a chance to play for the Browns.
Davis is one of those retired by the Cleveland organization, number 45. Ooh, look out. Man with trouble with a snap, and Calvin Thomas, number 33, in the backfield for the Bears, able to get perhaps a yard. Sam Clancy, 91. A great basketballer at the University of Pittsburgh, playing defensive end for the Browns, and they really are excited about his potential.
Gymnastics here, as McMahon really never got a hold of that snap from Hilgenberg, but was able to get it down and hand it off to Calvin Thomas. But boy, that's scary. And you know, that's something that Ditka has talked to his team about. He said, you've got to concentrate. We've got to get ready. We've got to get down to doing the things that we did last year to go through that 15-1 season.
Going long for Gentry, and he's well covered by 37. And now a flag comes down from an official on the far side as Chris Rockins running with Dennis Gentry, and I wonder if in this discussion they're going to say, was that ball catchable?
Rockins, as you know, replaced Don Rogers, who died so tragically during the offseason. Rockins, although not as physical a player, they say is more talented physically than Rogers as an athlete. He is running as the Browns do in a bump and run situation. They really live or die with those cornerbacks. And let's see it right here on the right-hand side. And there's no question there is contact. Now, the rule now states that if both men are going for the ball, and you see the official who was right there running with the two of them.
The ball could not be
All right, that's exactly what you said, Rick.
It was not a catchable ball. There was contact. The official on the far side calling the penalty could not see from his angle that it was a ball.
But I would agree with the official call because Rockins made the contact before his head turned back towards the ball. Had that ball been catchable, I think you would have seen a second flag, and that would have stood as an interference call.
Well, those 10 minutes roll around, but it's a nice service, isn't it? Washington now leads Philadelphia. The Rams still in front. Houston, 14-3. Maury Buford to punt for the first time. The icebox.
Ooh, not a good snap.
And they run into him, and that'll be a penalty. McNeil at the other end at the 30, and the 140-pounder is wrapped up at the 29, but we're going to have to go back for the penalty as Buford, as they tried to block the punt, was hit by one of the Browns' defenders.
They could see that Maury Buford was in trouble with the snap. Number 59, Mike Johnson, young linebacker that they're very enthusiastic about, felt that he could get to the ball. He only got to the punt.
On a defense, running into the kicker, number 59. That's 5, and that's a first down.
Mike Johnson, who played with the Stars in the USFL.
Watch Buford go up for that ball. Now, had that ball bounced on the ground, we wouldn't have seen the call here. But it really didn't take Buford out of the flow. And even though Mike Johnson is trying to avoid the kicker, you see Bill Cowher, the special teams coach, talking to him there, and he's just trying to say, hey, look, I know what you were trying to do. It's going to be all right. Rookies get emotional, Dick, and I guess you've got to be emotional to play this game, but you've also got to remember, if you make a mistake, you've got to put it behind you and go on to the next play.
Short memory really works well, especially for a defender. From the 38-yard line of the first down, McMahon over the middle. Intended for Calvin Thomas. He thought he was interfered with. And there goes a flag down against the Browns for roughing McMahon again. Flag down, or unless it's holding against the Bears.
I believe it is against the Browns.
The defense, 57. Late hit on the quarterback.
Clay Matthews, the linebacker, 15 yards against the Browns. Suddenly, Cleveland, their own worst enemy. They could have had the ball on the punt, but ran into the kicker.
You don't want to self-destruct on defense. There's the pass. 1, 2. Well late of the time that they're going to forgive you for cracking into that quarterback. And even though Matthews held him up at the end of it, you've got to lay off that quarterback when you're that far away and the ball leaves.
Here it's 21-14. The Bears leading the Browns with 4 minutes, 5 seconds left. And a wide-open first half. Some big plays in this initial game of the 67th NFL year. On the Browns 47. Play action, and the flag is down, and the pass incomplete. No penalty. Now another penalty as Chip Banks. That one appeared like he was in the grasp, and that was a tough call.
It wasn't a matter of timing on that one. I think it was what Banks did after he got him down toward the ground.
So the Browns now in an ugly series of penalty followed by penalty.
The strange feeling that
formation 29. I got 15 for roughing the quarterback. 15-yard penalty will be penalized. It'll be from the previous spot, 15 yards and first down.
Personal foul, a penalty which endangers the health of the athlete, takes precedent over a minor call, the illegal motion. That's 79 yards now, and penalties against the Browns, only 5 for Chicago.
Watch Banks at the top of your screen, number 56. He's there in time. They forgive him the initial hit, but he can't go to the head. And you saw the arm to the head right there. He also followed through and drilled him into the ground. But boy, I tell you, the Cleveland Browns, who have made one great play right after another, giving that ball and the yardage back plus some with their penalty.
4 minutes left in the half. First down at the Browns 32. 3 plays, 3 penalties on this drive. Hence the punt. How about Walter Payton? Let's try him up the middle, and he's to the 28. McMahon probably happy to get rid of the ball the way every time he goes back to pass, they're all over him. They must have read his new book.
One of the great... They didn't like it either. Huh? There are a few people in Chicago not too pleased with McMahon's work as an author.
Including the chief executive officer, Mr. McCaskey.
One of the concerns about McMahon is his durability. McMahon, of course, has missed a number of games 2 years ago in a Raider game. Lacerated kidney put him out for the season. Last year, missed some flying time with a knee injury. He's not afraid to put himself at risk, and he's the kind of quarterback that can go down at any time.
As you see, when he starts, the Bears win 17 in a row. That'll be against Chicago. It appeared that Keith Van Horn, the big right tackle, pulled off the line of scrimmage prematurely.
Student body right. They were pulling them all.
Ball start 78.
It was Van Horn, who is also a late night and weekend disc jockey at a Chicago rock station. I mean, everyone has enjoyed the benefits of that Super Bowl victory. How a big city has wrapped its arms around and adored a group of athletes like the Bears. I mean, they still, even how much time has gone by, months and months, it's still as if it was yesterday, the way these fans savor that Super Bowl win.
I don't think I've ever seen a city, and I'm talking about even smaller cities like Green Bay in their heyday, who still were so much involved with the fortunes of a football team as Chicago is now with these Bears.
Second down and 11. It's Calvin Thomas teaming with Payton. Play action and a screen. McMahon now will go long. And incomplete. Moorhead out of bounds, even though he was knocked out of bounds by Clay Matthews. They say he would not have stayed in bounds had he not been hit. That was veteran Carl Hairston putting pressure on the quarterback, McMahon.
That really is the strength of a Jim McMahon, though. The ability to take a play, and the play was broken. McMahon was under pressure, able to do some improvising back there, and almost came up with the big completion on the sideline. I'll tell you, that is a special ability for a quarterback. Watch him here. It's apparent that the man he wants is not open. I think a little screen pass, and the man was down. He gets away from Hairston. Big Daddy couldn't bring him down, and McMahon used his running ability to get outside and find the receiver. Unfortunately, incomplete.
As 91, Sam Clancy also had a piece of the jersey. Third and 11, going for it all. And a little bump along the sidelines, but no penalty flag. Mark Harper covering Ken Marjoram. Harper
Shepard may be in there for Hanford Dixon. You mentioned his thigh problems. They trust him. They say, we'll run the same defenses until we get burned. I'll tell you, this is a unique defense, this Cleveland defense. They really put the pressure, much like the Los Angeles Raiders, on those two cornerbacks. They say, hey, we're going to challenge you, bump and run, man to man. And they can do a lot of things defensively because of that other teams in the league are not able to do.
50-yard attempt by Butler. It would be his longest. He missed from 54 earlier in this period.
Bad snap.
Partially blocked. That's a returnable ball, but goes into the end zone, and the touchback for Cleveland.
That's the second time we've seen a bad snap on that particular kind of play, and on that occasion, we're not able to get it down on the ground in time.
No, it's 21-14. The Browns have suffered the tragedy this summer, the death of Don Rogers, another tragedy this weekend. Chuck Fisher, the assistant publicist, killed in an accident with a train in Cleveland. We send our sympathies to his young family, and the memorial fund will be started in his honor.
Watch Jimbo Covert here, number 74. He's going to drive in thinking that Clay Matthews is inside. Matthews is going to break outside, and because of the bad snap, is going to have a chance to get in and get his hands on that football. Of course, because that ball would have turned over at the line of scrimmage, that's where the Browns will take it over, out on the 32.5-yard line.
Jay Schrader, a couple of touchdown passes. The Redskins lead the Eagles now by 10. Those are the other scores on our 10-minute ticker. Here it's 21-14. The Browns trail Chicago. 2 minutes, 24 seconds remaining in the first half. And Steve McMichael, who says and admits that he's mean. He says, I go after every guy like he just called my mom a bad name. Well, he had to wait to the snap on that one, and unless it was drawn offside, it'll be 5 against the Bears.
Defense come across, made contact, number 76.
A rattlesnake hunter, Steve McMichael.
He's got a new responsibility on that Bears team. They kept only 2 tight ends, and he now has been given the responsibility of being the 3rd tight end on short yardage. He said, hey, I kind of like that. Hasn't done it since he was collegiate at Texas, playing on the offensive side, and he's pleased at having a new job.
So I'm nodding his head. He was not agreeing with the call. He was saying that the Browns were using a head fake to pull him offside. Kozar and Richardson will pick up the penalty, hit him before the ball arrived. Webster Slaughter, the receiver for Cleveland. You saw the Browns have been very successful, or at least compared to how tough it was to work the ball against the Bear defense last year. The Browns have moved the football.
Interference number 27, and that's a first down.
Now, if you ask Mike Ditka and Vince Tobin where their concerns are with the defense, one of the mentions that they get is for the cornerbacks. They're concerned. They lost Leslie Frazier for the year, fine cornerback. He and Richardson had been the starters last year. Richardson, a bit of a free spirit, and one of those guys who will make the big plays, but he also will tend to make some mistakes. That obviously was one of them.
First down at the Browns 44. Defensive comes right up on the line of scrimmage. Kozar off the knees of Brennan, and a flag is down where you would suspect holding.
Kozar to Brennan.
Here it is. Ben Bryce confirms 10 yards against Cleveland. Stops the clock with 2:13 left in this half. In case you joined us late, it started early with the first ever instant replay touchdown. They used the instant replay to decide that Al Gross had recovered a fumble in the Bears' end zone for a Cleveland touchdown. On the ensuing kickoff, Dennis Gentry rambled 91 yards for a touchdown to make it 7-all. Walter Payton, a 2-yard touchdown, 14-7 Chicago. Then Wilbur Marshall picked off a Bernie Kozar pass, went 58 yards to make it 21-7. And here in this quarter, 2 missed field goals by Butler of the Bears from long range, and the Browns put together a touchdown scoring drive of 63 yards with Kevin Mack scoring from 3 yards out, 21-14 as we stand. Chased by Hampton, a screen to Kevin Mack with blockers, 30, 40, Mack the fullback out to the 48-yard line. And Kozar just didn't get that one around Big Dan Hampton.
Of course, that's what you're trying to do on that particular kind of a play, is invite the defensive linemen in, get them in, and then throw it over their heads for the quick screen.
And that comes at the 2-minute timeout, 21-14 Bears. Another look at that 13-yard play we just saw.
Kosar can feel Danimal on his neck. One thing you have to see here. Watch the block. Freeze it right there. There is number 74, Paul Fair. Now watch what he does on this play. Wilbur Marshall's legs right up into the air, able to open the way for Kevin Mack. Very fine game.
So with 2 minutes left in the first half, the Browns have it 2nd down and 7. Just shy of midfield. Kosar underneath to Slaughter at the 50-yard line. That won't be enough for a first down. They'll mark progress to the Bears' 49, where it'll be 3rd and 3.
Dick, you mentioned the kind of yardage the Bears apparently giving up, and I think that's something you're going to see because Vince Tobin's philosophy is not to play as aggressively on the line and to play more zone defenses. His philosophy, again, is to try and make fewer errors on the whole, but basically that will mean they may give up a few more yards in the process.
Timeout with 1 minute and 34 seconds left in the half. Preceding announcement sponsored by the U.S. Army. Bernie Kosar on 3rd and 3. He's 11 for 17 in this half for 144 yards. One of the completions to himself. Goes over the middle. Almost intercepted by Dave Duerson. He threw it behind Clarence Weathers. He didn't have a real good view of the field. He had a better look at Todd Bell, who was right on top of him.
Duerson, of course, in his first full year as a starter, who got his chance to start because Bell was in a holdout because of the contract, almost had that ball in his hands. Of course, Duerson ended up in the Pro Bowl last year. Remarkable story.
1:29 left in the half, and Gossett sends a beautiful spiral toward Dave Duerson, who will let it kick into the end zone for the touchback. So the Bears, with 1:19 left in this first half, will have a chance from their own 20-yard line in a 21-14 game. Bears lead by 7.
Constant search for information, and players and coaches will use anything they can get their hands on. These are the Polaroid shots sent quickly from the booth upstairs down to the field. Players will look at those, coaches will look at them to see what kind of alignments the other team is using. And of course, that's a chance for them to talk about adjustments, what they need to do to cope with those particular defenses.
Now, that was an offensive lineman, Tom Thayer. Defensively, Did you look at Polaroids, or was that you're too old?
That's way before our time. No, we actually had them, Dick. We
had to go down.
We didn't have them on the sideline. The coaches used them upstairs. We never got them on the sideline.
You got them Wednesday when they were developed. From the 20. McMahon out of the shotgun.
Look out.
Chip Banks gets away from Banks and will run it. For 6 yards. Make it 5 to the 25. Stops the clock.
Again, I think that's an indication that Banks would have had a chance, I think, had his instincts been at the max. But after only a week in camp, he's not able to make that adjustment.
And you're updated on the other scores, the early games here in this first week of the NFL season. Of course, you'll get the details on those games. NFL 86, which will follow. You'll see that Raiders music video. Later, we'll also show you the new edition of the Bears music video.
When are we going to do our video, Dick?
See, the demand hasn't been strong so
They
far.
haven't been calling me. I don't know what it is.
2nd down and 5 with 1:12 left. McMahon, no one open, so he'll run it again. And there's lots of room. 30, 40, and out of bounds at the 46. And then stepping out of bounds, ran over his own man, went down. Willie Gold.
Willie was coming back to help. Al Gross looked like he might be coming up. Willie was trying to keep him out of the way, ended up cutting McMahon to the ground. Well, that's the kind of thing you hate to see. Would be a quarterback injured by one of his own players. Watch the end of the play here. Al Gross backs off, number 27, who's coming up. And Willie, who thought he was going to block Gross, ended up cutting McMahon's legs out from underneath him.
Well, Walter Payton has gained 39 yards in the half, and McMahon has 25 on those last 2 runs.
That's embarrassing for a defense. McMahon able to coast to that kind of yardage, and with 1 minute and 2 left, the Bears now have excellent field position to try and get some more.
Give to Dennis Gentry. he accelerate? He's to the Browns' 47-yard line. An 8-yard gain. Al Gross made the tackle. And the Bears will spend a timeout, stopping the clock with 52 seconds remaining. They have 2 more left. Oh, that Gentry. Did you see him just kind of eased his way out there and then kicked it into high gear? It is that kind of quickness and acceleration that excites Mike Ditka, moving Gentry out of the backfield and as a wide receiver, although he served in his more comfortable halfback position on that play.
Talking to Ed Hughes, one of the points that he made, which I thought was very appropriate, he said, with Walter Payton in the backfield, every one of our backs tries to emulate what Walter does, which means that they get the maximum out of them in practice, and it also means that they are always in great condition. That's the kind of example you'd like to have, I think, at every position, if you were fortunate enough to have someone blessed with the talent, enthusiasm, and the dedication of a Walter Payton.
They talk along the sidelines. The expression used by Coach Mike Ditka throughout this summer season has been, "Are you satisfied?" And, of course, as we well know, it's been difficult to repeat a Super Bowl champion, and despite the fact that the Bears will be the heavy favorites to repeat, so were the 49ers, and so were the Redskins, and so were the Raiders. How many people can say they're the best? Are you satisfied? And Ditka says that was my theme last night in the meeting before the game, that here you have a chance, once you've been the best, you have a chance to repeat that. How many can say that?
Well, he wants to be like the Pittsburgh Steelers. Really proved that they were good enough to go back again and again.
4 wins in the 70s. McMahon complete to Suey, and he is drilled after a short gain at the 42-yard line, clock running.
Al Gross, the man on top of him, he tried to hold him down so he couldn't get back to the huddle.
Man does not use a timeout. 35 seconds, 6 yards on that play, and the first down at the 41. With 29 seconds left, McMahon to the sideline. Suey gets out of bounds with a 4-yard gain.
Stops the clock, most importantly, and of course that's what you want to do. Pick up some yardage, but get that clock stopped.
21-14 Chicago. The Bears trying to get at least in field goal range. Kevin Butler has tried from 50 and 54 yards in this quarter and has the wind at his back, and they're very nearly within his range. Bears also with the 2 timeouts. Hanford Dixon is at the right corner on the far side. Frank Minifield bump and run here on the near side. They may test Dixon with Galt.
Oh, another bad snap.
And somehow McMahon gets away and throws it incomplete. Boy, it's a terrific job by McMahon to extricate himself and save a timeout with that throw.
One of the risks of that shotgun or spread formation is that you've got to snap that ball blind. Jay Hilgenberg, who has done it many times to McMahon, now with 2 bad snaps. The first one not so bad, except that it came when McMahon was looking to his left. That one was just a bad snap.
Yeah, the Hilgenberg clan, the group of centers, they say they have a family reunion. They say hello to each other by looking between their legs. Shake.
I got to tell you, though, offensive linemen have got a pretty rough life. We only mention them usually when they make a mistake, when they're holding someone or they make a bad snap. That's unfair. That's a great line down there.
Sad but true. We have seen some fine blocks today, though, however. Here's Payton. They gave him the pass look and gave it to Payton, who's to the 30-yard line. And with 14 seconds left, a timeout Chicago. 7 more yards for Payton. Frank Minifield made the tackle.
Maybe one more shot before they'll give Butler a chance here. Dick, this is an interesting time of the year for these teams. In some ways, this is the happiest time of the year as you look at Kevin Butler's stats, because every team in the league is undefeated. Everybody's on equal footing. It's really, and they've made the roster. No more cut downs as of right now. Everybody feels that they've got a shot at the Super Bowl. Of course, these two teams, having been playoff teams, and the Bears, the defending champion, know they have a shot at it. But even the lowly teams at this time of the year feel that they've got a chance to go back. It's a time when every city that has NFL football kind of feels, hey, maybe this is our year, too.
Well, look at what happened in Buffalo just with the signing of Jim Kelly. Suddenly a game that might have attracted 40,000, 45,000, sold out 80,000 against the New York Jets. Some of you will see that as the second half of our doubleheader on NBC. And Be sure to stay with us. This is a twin bill for you as we open our 1986 season. The Bears trying to open up the lead. They have a 7-point advantage and 14 seconds in which to try to get more. They've moved from their own 20-yard line down to the Browns' 30. One timeout left for Chicago. That is the official clock you see in the window. Going for Suey, and very nearly a remarkable play by the veteran from Penn State, Anthony Griggs, the linebacker on the coverage. 8 seconds left.
You love to isolate the running backs on the linebackers, and Anthony Griggs straining for everything it's worth. Looks like he may have pulled a muscle. You see him right there holding his hand up. He's headed to the sideline. The Browns will have to send someone in his place, but he was giving it everything he had. Suey able to still get free and almost made that catch.
47-yard attempt by Kevin Butler. It's long enough, and it's good. With 3 seconds remaining in the first half, Kevin Butler, the NFL's leading scorer last year, drills home 3 to pad the Bear lead to 10.
Bears step out to a comfortable lead, although we've still got an awful lot of football to play here. And the Browns, I think the thing I've been most impressed with in this first half is their ability to move the ball offensively. I think that they are apparently on the right track with what they're doing under Lindy Infante offensively, using the strength of their running game, mixing in a nice variety of passes and formations. And at the same time, they're hoping that they can play a little tougher defense in the second half.
Well, in special teams, too, Merlin. They were the best in the NFL last year in special teams, but gave up a kickoff return by Gentry, 91 yards for a touchdown.
You know, it's great irony because last night when I talked to Marty Schottenheimer, he said, I have a feeling that tomorrow's game may be decided by the special teams. Everybody's talking about the great Bear defense, but I think we may have to get the edge on special teams. He was talking about them getting it. And so far, it hasn't been the way.
Well, he wanted to play the best, and he got the Bears as his opener, and he indeed will have a measuring stick for how his team is readied for this year. 8-8 last season, but won that Central Division of the AFC and very nearly knocked off Miami. They had that 21-3 lead down at the Orange Bowl, only to see Miami win it in the second half, 24-21 in the playoffs. Last play, unless there's a penalty. Butler to Gerald McNeil. Here comes the Ice Cube. He's down at the 23. Dan Raines made the tackle for Chicago, and with it the end of the first half. And their sun-baked crowd, 60-degree temperatures on a magnificent Chicago afternoon, sees the defending Super Bowl champions return and bring with them some big plays in this first half. A kickoff return for a touchdown, an interception for a touchdown, and a 24-14 lead. We'll be back after these words.
And we welcome those of you who've been watching the Browns-Bears game back to our NFL 86 studios in New York. Bob Costas with Ahmad Rashad and Paul McGuire. First, to update on the tennis. Martina Navratilova is the Women's U.S. Open champion for the third time in the last 4 years. She beats Helena Suková today 6-3, 6-2. Lendl against Machir later in the men's final. One baseball score of interest at Fenway last of the fifth. With the help of a Jim Rice grand slam, the Red Sox lead the Twins 6-0. Now to highlights of the game you've been watching, with the Bears leading 24-14 at halftime. And how long did it take for instant replay to make its impact? How about the third play from scrimmage in this game? Here you see the officials conferring they never even bothered with an initial call of their own on this controversial play. The Hilgenberg snap eludes McMahon. After it's knocked around for a while, it'll go to the back of the end zone where Al Gross of Cleveland pounces on it. Was he in the end zone or over the line? You'll watch the two zebras arrive right on the play. They don't even bother to make a call. Folks, this is just human nature. Why get yourself in Dutch? We'll just call upstairs. They did, and they said he was in the end zone for the touchdown. The Bears come right back. Dennis Gentry, with brilliant running, stutter-stepping, breaking tackles, takes the ensuing kickoff 91 yards to tie it at 7. After a Walter Payton touchdown run and a 14-7 Bear lead, the new defensive coordinator Vince Tobin had to be smiling. The man who took over from Buddy Ryan watches as number 58 Wilbur Marshall goes 58 yards with this nifty interception for a 21-7 lead for the Bears. However, the Browns are playing tough today. This is a good play for them. Webster Slaughter, their second-round draft choice out of San Diego State, takes the swing pass from Kozar and sets up a Kevin Mack touchdown that makes it 21-14. And then, as you saw just before the end of the half, the 47-yard field goal by Kevin Butler with 3 seconds left, and the Bears, who were favored by 10.5, lead by 10 at halftime. Washington at home leading Philadelphia 17-14 in Buddy Ryan's debut. One of the touchdowns for the Redskins, a Kelvin Bryant reception of 36 yards from Jay Schrader. The Rams have gone to the third quarter against the Cardinals with a 6-3 lead. Eric Dickerson has 84 yards in the first half rushing, including a touchdown for the Rams. Houston is playing at Green Bay, and Houston leads at 17-3 in the third quarter. We've got some highlights from that game. Jerry Glanville beginning his first full season and going with the Johnny Cash look, the man in black on the sidelines for the Oilers. He watches Larry Moriarty win this race to the flag for a 7-3 lead in the first quarter for Houston. And now Warren Moon will find Butch Woolfolk with a beautiful 29-yard pass for the TD, a 14-3 lead. Early in the third quarter, Tony Zendejas adds a field goal for the Oilers for the 17-3 lead. Detroit has a 7-3 lead at Minneapolis in the third quarter. That's the debut of Jerry Burns as the head coach of the Vikings after 18 years as an assistant there. But so far, the big story, James Jones of the Lions had 107 yards rushing, including a touchdown in the first half at 7-3 Detroit. San Francisco at Tampa Bay at halftime. The Niners lead at 14-0. Ronnie Lott with a pair of interceptions for San Francisco. And Atlanta, with David Archer calling the plays at quarterback, leads New Orleans in Jim Mora's debut. 14-3 is the halftime score there. Now, let's talk instant replay with Paul McGuire. And you've got a unique perspective on this because you worked USFL games the past few years, and they had the rule.
They had the rule in the USFL, but it was the coach's rule. If the coach wanted to see it on a replay involving the ball, the same way it is in the National Football League, Bob, then the coach had the right to say, okay, wait a minute, take a look at it. If he was wrong, he would lose a timeout. And you were only allowed to call it once and a half, only one time. And if he'd win, the play stayed and he went on with it. But I like the way the rule came up in this game here. I like the rule. I think it adds something to football, but I liked it in this game here because at the beginning I picked Cleveland with 10.5.
Yeah, and of course we admire a man who never allows self-interest to affect his point of view on vital public interest. Now, your thoughts?
I frankly don't like the replay because I think everybody makes mistakes. Why not the referees? And I think when people buy a ticket to go see a football game, they definitely don't want the game upstaged by the referees or the replay. But the positive thing about this is in a lot of football games, when a team scores like that right off the bat, the other team just loses everything. Chicago didn't. They came back very strong. Now, you can talk about the refrigerator, Jim McMahon, all those people in Chicago. The main guy there, the heart and soul of that team is Walter Payton. And after 12 years, he looks as strong as ever in the first half, 10 carries, 46 yards, and a touchdown. And he owes me a Super Bowl ring.
All right, now I'll tell you this. There's going to be controversy throughout the year about this instant replay rule. Some of it obviously is going to be good. It's going to correct a lot of errors, and that will be good. But keep this in mind, folks. Producers and directors of football games are of different quality, just as players are of different quality. And some games, nationally televised, are covered with 6-7 cameras, several tape machines. Other games involving smaller cities, smaller markets, well, they might be covered with only 4 or 5 cameras. The identical play might be captured by a good crew at one game and missed by a lesser crew at another game. And boy, will they howl over something like that. We think you'll be howling when we come back because we're going to show the world premiere of the Raiders video. And folks, there hasn't been anticipation like this since they first showed Gone with the Wind in Atlanta. Get a sandwich in a hurry and come back. All right, now listen up, all you music aficionados. When you used to say football and music, you thought of marching bands at halftime. But this is the age of the music video. So now watch out, Chicago Bears, and for that matter, watch out Springsteen, Dire Straits, and Madonna. Here come the Raiders.
Starting that's what I play. Offense gets headlines and glory every day. Running and catching may appeal to the mob, but I'd rather be tackling and doing my job. This long saw short on quarterback sacks, and I love to sit on those running backs. We wear the silver, we wear the black. We never retreat, we always attack.
Allen's my name, offense is my game. Running or catching to me is the same. Cause if you wanna win, you got to score. Even when you're tired and your muscles are sore. Just give me the ball and I'll get you some yards. 3 decades of destiny is all in the cards. We wear the silver, we wear the black. We never retreat, we always attack.
We wear the silver, we wear the black. Don't get in our way. We wear the silver, we wear the black. You better listen to what we say. We rock the stadium with all our might. That is what we do. We wear the silver, we wear the black. We're coming back to you.
I can't run fast and I'm not too tall, but I got hands to stick to the ball. I'm third and long near the end of the game. The quarterback likes to call my name. And they like, oh, just get yourself free. And I say, fine, leave the rest to me. We wear the silver, we wear the black. We never retreat, we always attack. I tip the scales at 270, and most every year I make all pro. I open holes and protect the QB. If you try to blitz, you're gonna hear from me. We're killer runs in the pit. Our offense gives the defense fit. We wear the silver, we wear the black. We never retreat, we always attack.
We wear the silver, we wear the black. Don't get in our way. We wear the silver, we wear the black. You better listen to what we say. We rock the stadium with all our might. That is what we do. We wear the silver, we wear the black. We're coming back to you.
Penn State, those turkeys on offense are creatures I hate. I find them, I chase them, I break up their blocks, and then I catch them, I hit them right out to their socks. Now, defense wins games, it's clear as day, but offense gets headlines and raises in pay. We wear the silver, we wear the black, we never retreat, cause we always attack.
I play the corner and I play it great. How do I do it? I intimidate. When those receivers come off the line, I greet them in a way that's uniquely mine. When left on them, the receivers say, don't let them throw the ball my way. We wear the silver, we wear the black. We never retreat, we always attack.
We wear the silver, we wear the black. Don't get in our way. We wear the silver, we wear the black. You better listen to what we say. We rock the stadium with all our might. That is what we do. We wear the silver, we wear the black. We're coming back to you. We wear the silver, we wear the black. Don't get in our way. We wear the silver, we wear the black. You better listen to what we say. We rock the stadium with all our might. That is what we do. We wear the silver, we wear the black. We're coming back to you. We wear the silver, we wear the black. Don't get in our way. We wear the silver, we wear the black.
And now, to give you a moment to regain your senses, NFL 86 will continue.
Welcome back to the den of the Chicago Bears, Soldier Field. They're wrapping up the halftime festivities. The Chicago Bears back on the field, a 10-point lead, 24-14. First game of the season. There are some statistics that would reveal that if you win the first game of the season, your chances are 2 times greater of making it into the playoffs. So the obvious backside of that is you lose and things are dimmer. How did you feel about that very first game?
I think it's very critical, Dick, to get off to a good start. And there's no question that winning teams usually do find a way to get started early. I think those kinds of statistics are kind of after-the-fact statistics. A winning team that knows what they're supposed to be doing and what they're all about will start like the Bears did today in the first half, and they get right after you.
I was impressed by 2 things in the first half. I was impressed that the Bears still had that big play defense, and I was impressed that despite that strength on defense, that the Browns did move the ball effectively on many possessions.
Well, they certainly did.
a couple of things we need to think about. Ozzie Newsome, we saw him limping several times on the sideline, did not play a great deal of the first half. If he does not play in the second half, if he's hurt, if that's an Achilles injury that's going to take him out of that lineup, that really puts Cleveland in a bind. They have 2 other tight ends. They don't have another receiving tight end like Ozzie Newsome.
And Wilber Marshall symbolized that Bear defense, didn't he? Making the play, fought off the blocker, saw the pass coming, reacted, made the one-handed catch, the 58-yard touchdown with the interception. The Bears are going to get points on you even when they don't have the ball.
Well, that talks really about 2 things. First, that the Bears had kept their defense under wraps. They've opened it up. They've become more aggressive. They've used the blitz. They were very effective in this game. You have to say the Bears have dominated the first half. They probably should be ahead by more than they are at this point in the game. The other thing I'd like to comment on is Kosar. Now, he has done what a young quarterback is going to do. He's had the great plays, and he also, unfortunately, had the big mistake, that flip that he made to Wilber Marshall. And, of course, Marshall all the way down the sideline for the touchdown. That is the big difference in this game at this time.
Now the Browns getting ready to deploy. They will have the ball first here in this second half. And Jim McMahon, why is it that Ditka and McMahon seem to have their differences?
Well, Dick, it's pretty simple. Ditka is a no-nonsense coach, and McMahon is a nonsense kind of guy.
A nonsense quarterback. Well, boy, that's true about Ditka. He does not allow hardly a smile. And yet, you have this wonderful feeling about Ditka. If you're in a tough fight, you want him as your leader.
Let me tell you, I played against Mike. I played with him in Pro Bowl games. And one thing you want is to have Mike Ditka in your corner when the going gets tough. There's no question, though, that McMahon loves his role as a Hellion. In fact, enjoys it thoroughly.
Let's take a look at the halftime statistics, Merlin. First downs, Bears by 3. Total yards, 30 more for Cleveland, and much of the Chicago Bear yardage came in that last drive when they got the field goal. 14 yards rushing, however, is all for Cleveland, and they were a top rushing team last year. The second half underway, and Butler sidewinds to the Ice Cube McNeil. Gerald McNeil at the 20. Looks for a crack, and down he goes at the 27-yard line, and a good, sure, open field tackle by number 51, Jim Morrissey from Michigan State, a second-year linebacker. And the news is not good for Cleveland. Ozzie Newsome, with that Achilles injury, will not return in the second half for the Browns. So
they're saying it might be a pulled muscle. Now, we don't want to get people back in Cleveland too wrapped up that it is an Achilles. Whatever it is, it's going to keep him out of the second half. That is not good news, and we'll let you find out about what the seriousness of that is later.
Harry Holt, who is a top player from Arizona, replaces him at tight end, number 81. And Biner through a good-sized hole, wrapped up by Dave Duerson and company. Otis Wilson got a piece of it after a 5-yard gain. There's Duerson, who replaced Todd Bell at safety last year when Bell refused to sign a contract, and Duerson from Notre Dame went right on to the Pro Bowl. Now Todd Bell is a reserve. The feeling is that Bell eventually will take Pensick's spot, and you'll have Bell and Duerson, 2 heavy hitters at the Bear safety spots.
Well, it certainly gives them great depth to have Bell and Al Harris back in that lineup. Both held out well.
5, the toss to Kevin Mack, gets a block on the corner and has a first down at the 43-yard line. Mike Richardson down low to make the hit.
Dan Fike, big number 69, out in front of that play and using those long arms to push one of the defenders off and give Mack a little bit of room.
With the yardage picked up here in the first 2 carries by Mack and Biner, their total is 19 yards against Walter Payton's 46. There's Payton, eager to get his chance.
Of course, Biner has picked up considerable yardage in the passing game, and that's not reflected there. That's not really an accurate reflection of what Cleveland has done offensively.
37 yards of pass receiving. In heavy traffic, Kosar somehow got it away to Biner down the sidelines to the 35, the 30, and it's Singletary who finally gets him out of bounds at the 18-yard line. Oh, that play had inches written all over it. Just inches away from being sacked was Kosar. He just did thread the ball out to Biner, and then Biner tiptoeing down the sidelines.
You'll see again the great pressure on Kosar here. Right there, two people almost on top of him. I believe that was Richard Dent, but he was still able. He has a very powerful live arm, able to get that ball out. Look at that move by Biner. Just threw Dave Duerson right across in front of him. And again, that's like a long handoff to the running back, and he's wide open.
44 yards for Biner officially, and here he goes again to the outside. Tried to slice in and picks up 3 at the 15-yard line. It'll be 2nd and 7. Let's look at our 10-minute ticker. The Redskins leading the Eagles by 6. The Rams in a field goal battle in the 3rd against St. Louis. Houston has a 2-touchdown lead against Green Bay. Detroit 7, Minnesota 3. 49ers lead is cut in half by Tampa Bay, and Atlanta still holds a 14-3 advantage at New Orleans. Here it's 24-14, the Bears over the Browns, but Cleveland impressively takes the kickoff to start this second half and has it now at the Bear 15. Biner way out to the right, only Mack in the backfield. 9 men on the line of scrimmage for the Bears, and they give to Mack. He has a touchdown. They came with a 9-man rush and a couple of blocks in the center of the line with Babb to center and Farron and Fike the guards. They sprung Kevin Mack through untouched.
And all of the things that people talked about that could happen to that pressuring defense of the Bears, if you find the open man, you can get the ball to him. If they put that many people on the line and you can block, who's going to make the tackle? Well, no one there, no one home. When Kevin Mack breaks the line of scrimmage, some excellent pickup by the Browns. Pick up there of a point as the field or the extra point is good.
So Matt Barr adds the extra point. The Bears did not allow a touchdown run over 7 yards last year. Mack went 14. Cleveland Browns take the kickoff, start the second half, and march it right down and through into the end zone of the Chicago Bears and cut the Bears' lead to 24-21. Kevin Mack, a 14-yard burst up the middle, and now Matt Barr to kick it off. And Mike Ditka, not a happy man, prowling the Bear sidelines. Gentry and Sanders are deep for Chicago. It's to Tom Sanders' side at the 5. 10. Flag down. Sanders at the 20. Another flag down. And finally he's run out of bounds at the 33-yard line. But a flag at the 5 and a flag at the 27. And that does not spell good news for Chicago.
Forced out of bounds by Hogarth and Harper.
Yeah, they'll sort out the penalties. But apparently a hand in the back. It'll give us a chance to go back to the touchdown play of Kevin Mack and how well they blocked that 9-man front of the Bears.
Illegal block in the back on the receiving team, number 59. 10 yards.
Ron Rivera ticketed. Let's go back and look at that last play, and you get a chance to see how well Cleveland picked it up. Dan Hampton is going to drive to the outside here, but watch the block by Fike as he drives in on the safety, Gary Fencing. Now watch him, it's like a steamroller in there. Now, stop it again, right there. Fike again makes a second hit right there on the linebacker, and Kevin Mack is wide open. Great play. 2 key blocks by Dan Fike, the right guard.
Fike, who played his football at Florida, and was a 10th-round pick of the New York Jets 4 years ago, and finding a happy home in that offensive line for Cleveland. Back to the 4-yard line on the penalty on the kickoff return, so the Bears deep in their own end, leading by 3 as Jim McMahon takes charge. Peyton and Suey behind him. Suey, the fullback, plowing to the 7-yard line. Reintroduce that Browns defense up front. Camp, Golick, and Hairston. The linebackers, Banks, Johnson, Griggs, and Matthews. Minifield and Dixon at the corners. Gross and Rockins at safety. Surprised by how well Cleveland has played?
Not really surprised, Dick, because they're a quality football operation. And Marty Schottenheimer does one thing that you know he's going to get it done. That's to get his players ready to play. And they believe in the system. They believe they can win. That's the first responsibility right there.
They've got another
step after this play. McMahon to Payton. And Walter is out to the 14, close to a first down. They believe they can win, and you have the Bears case that they've gone through this same exercise, and now they know they can win.
The Bears know they can win, Dick, and I think, and certainly it's overworked. The talk of how difficult it is to repeat as champions, but the one fact of it that it's absolute is that it's awfully hard to come back and go to work after you've spent a whole offseason celebrating and spent a whole offseason with so many responsibilities of endorsements and appearances and so forth. And of course, it's the hard work that takes you to that Super Bowl. And sometimes it's difficult to put that into perspective when you've got the ring on your finger and everything's going well.
First down by inches. Mike Ditka, maybe money is enough for some guys. Maybe they don't need Super Bowls. If they're willing to settle for less than the ultimate prize, that's what they'll get.
Well, you earn your way in this league. Right now, I don't think that Mike Ditka is very pleased with everything that's happening. He's seen some things that are making him happy, but I'll tell you, giving up that many points in virtually one half of this game and on the opening drive of the second half, not going to please him at all.
First down, fake to Payton. McMahon throwing to Suey, out of bounds at the 20-yard line. Into the grasp of Clay Matthews, the veteran from Southern California. 6 yards on the play. Well, Ditka said through the preseason that some of my players really came back dedicated to a second Super Bowl. Some seem to take it for granted, and he's really worked on those, tried to spur those that he feels have not given him 100% in practice or in preseason games.
Well, he does have an advantage. He played on the 63 championship Bear team and then came back the next year into what was not a pleasant season. He's been through it personally. He also went through that kind of situation in Dallas, so he knows what it's like, and he can help.
Payton, a little misdirection, and Walter has a first down at the 27-yard line. Matthews again on the tackle, along with Chris Rockins and Anthony Griggs.
You ever wonder what Walter Payton sees as he lines up? Well, a good idea there as he starts inside. And look how he kind of sets up that hole by making the move to the right and then cutting back to the left. I'll tell you, good running backs know how to set up their blockers. They make it easy for a blocker because they put the defensive players at a disadvantage.
And again, a good example of what an attacking runner he is. Less than 10 minutes left, third quarter, 24-21 Chicago. Payton again. Kicking his way across the 30-yard line for about 4 more.
Run down by
Reggie Camp, 96. Making the tackle, played for Joe Kapp out at the University of California. Been a starter in the Browns line since he was a rookie.
Had a tough year last year, had a foot that was injured and continued to play on it. They just didn't have anybody to step ahead of him, and he couldn't push off on it. And I know that had to be frustrating. I talked to him before the game. He said, "If foot's healthy," he said, I'm glad I can play healthy. I can sense that he's having that kind of day. He's made some good plays already in this game.
McMahon to Suey, wide open at the 40. Suey at the 50. Can he outrun the defense? 30. Running out of gas. 20. And Eddie Johnson gets him at the 10-yard line.
Suey not used to having to go that many yards. Look at him. He's drawn a few heavy breaths of oxygen, but so is Eddie Johnson on the bottom. Walter better take him out for a few wind sprints. An unusual play. Nobody home. They caught the defense out of position, and then Suey runs right through a tackle there by Minifield, and Eddie Johnson doing everything he could to finally get the last gasp tackle, ball on the 11-yard line.
58 yards on the play for Matt Suey. Indeed, he'll refuel along the sidelines. Calvin Thomas, 33 in front of Payton. Walter toppled at the 10. Camp in there first. Plenty of help from Johnson and Griggs. On the 10-minute ticker, Washington by 6, the Rams by 10, Houston by 21.
Wow, Houston moving out.
Detroit by 4, 49ers by 7, Atlanta now by 18.
Al Gross is down on the field, Dick. We'll keep an eye on him. Trainer's out to tend to him.
Al Gross in on that last tackle. A timeout with 7:44 remaining in the third quarter in Chicago. Welcome back to Soldier Field. Dick Enberg with Merlin Olsen. We open our 1986 year. We've had a dandy thus far. 24-21. The Bears leading the Browns. And it's 2nd and 10 from the 11-yard line as Chicago goes for more. McMahon wide open to Payton for a touchdown. Walter Payton racks up another 6. And no one need lead him into the end zone. He knows the way.
Mike Ditka saying that's the way we want to do it. Payton's so dangerous because he is an excellent receiver. We talk about his running. Boy, I tell you, he knows how to catch the ball, and he gets the yardage afterwards.
Second touchdown for Walter Payton this afternoon, and here's Kevin Butler's try for point. Kevin Butler, who made all 51 point-after tries last year, is perfect. Walter Payton celebrating and faking a limp as well. That's not good humor. Bears back on top by 10 as Butler kicks it off. McNeil deep for Cleveland. Number 89, he'll not take it. It's Langhorne, 88. He's across the 20 to the 23-yard line. Tackle made by Ron Rivera. Al Gross, who is very disappointed, has shown not only his pain but his anger at the injury. His right knee taped in ice, not a good sign. Gross injured the play before the touchdown pass from McMahon to Payton.
But Danford Dixon already injured. That's really a double whammy to that secondary. As you see, McMahon gets everybody moving to the right and then slaps the ball into the hands of Walter Payton. You saw that characteristic long stride as he crossed the goal line.
Bernie Kosar starting from his own 23. Play action to Biner and flips it to Kevin Mack. The game's but a yard. Well covered by Otis Wilson, 7-year man from Louisville. Now that touchdown drive, McMahon went 3 for 3, including the 58-yard pass to Matsui that really set up the score.
Ed Hughes congratulating McMahon on the success there. Hughes, certainly one of the most capable of the offensive coordinators around the league. He and Mike Ditka spend a long time worrying about what they're going to put into action week in and week out.
2nd and 9. Out to the 29-yard line. Mike Singletary fighting off the blockers to get to the man carrying the ball. A gain of about 5.
We've seen the great teamwork between Kevin Mack and Ernest Biner. Two very close. Biner really an inspiration to Mack. And they get along extremely well, but they do argue about one thing. Which one is taller?
And they become very good friends.
Great article in Sports Illustrated just recently about the two of them.
On 3rd down and 4, Mack the only man in the backfield behind Kosar. And he looks for a block. Spins away. What an effort. And he's close to a first down at the 34. I believe he has it. Steve McMichael finally secured the tackle, but check that. It's Ernest Biner, who has shown that he can catch the ball, run in the open field, and on that occasion has the power to break a tackle and get the yardage.
Bears expecting the pass there. Biner able to get out of the tackle of Mike Singletary, roll off a second tackle. For what great effort to get that first down.
Biner, who played at college ball at East Carolina, followed Tony Collins. Collins, a New England Patriot running back. Biner again, and bam, he ran right into Wilbur Marshall. No gain. And we run right into that 10-minute ticker. Stand of that Washington game that Steve Cox kicked a 55-yard field goal for the Redskins. Rams now lead by 10. Houston continues to pour it on the Packers. Detroit up by 7. 49ers, Tampa Bay, no change. In Atlanta, comfortable lead at New Orleans. Here it's 31-21 Chicago. Second down and 10 for the Browns at their own 35. Ozar over the middle to Biner. And he's to the 43-yard line, a couple shy of a first down. Well, they said they were going to use Biner in every situation. We've seen him play about 8 different positions on the field.
And effective from all of them. He's taken some of the paint off his helmet. There he comes from the outside now. Just a little bit of a delay. Sneaking in behind the corner. Reggie Phillips out there to make the catch. And even then, look how he runs out. Oh, what power to run right out of those tackles.
Third down and a long 2. Here comes Kevin Mack, and the flag is down. Mack appears to have the first down at the 46.
It's automatic. We've got an offside on the Bears, Dick, as the right side of the defensive line moved a little bit early.
Reminder, our viewers will note the selection of the Budweiser Most Valuable Player in today's game at the conclusion. Kevin Mack certainly in the running with his 2.
On the line up with the neutral zone.
95.
Richard Dent lined up
offside. 95. That's a 5-yard penalty. That's a first down.
Well, he moved, and then he tried to get back, didn't get back far enough. So technically lined up offside, but moved into the neutral zone and then didn't get out is what he did.
Richard Dent, nickname Microwave. Puts quick heat in your kitchen.
Quick heat is right. Got a turf toe that's bothered him a little bit, but you've seen his quickness at work today out there.
First down on the 5-yard penalty at the 48. Continue to rack up the yardage. Not on this play. Kevin Mack swallowed by the center of that Bear defense. Wilbur Marshall, William Perry, Singletary.
Tackled by Perry and Hampton.
Bears again showing that 46 look as they stack those big linemen on the inside, spread Dent out. Oh, how that strikes fear into the heart of those quarterbacks.
Well, they'll play the Eagles, the Bears, here next Sunday, and Buddy Ryan, the former defensive coordinator, says they'll be all right. They're great athletes, want to win, and Singletary won't let them lose.
And that's not all he said.
Yeah, we don't have a long enough show. Nor the rebuttal from Mr. Ditka. Ozar to the sidelines, overshoots Webster Slaughter. Slaughter, the rookie, had a good first half. Caught 3 balls.
Let's take a quick peek at that defensive lineup, and you can kind of get a feeling for what the Bears are changing in this new season. Well, maybe we'll get it a little bit later. Bears able to give you the sense that you know you're going to have pressure instantly on your quarterback, and that's the whole philosophy of that quick pressure defense. Stack them up on the inside, force the offense to do things they don't want to do.
Flag down, and Perry almost had the interception. The refrigerator about to put a couple of trays right out of the freezing unit around that one, but it fell free.
Holding call on the right side of Cleveland's line, either Fike or Cody Risen, one or the other.
Also a penalty in the Bears secondary, a flag down. We may have a hold defensively.
I'll tell you, that kills you, though. You wait for a chance. You dream about getting that ball in your hands and getting a chance to go somewhere with it. And then suddenly there's one there and you drop it.
The way he was going, though, that had all the marks of running the wrong way.
74 was downfield, illegal. Also holding number 63 on the offense. Decline a penalty. It's fourth down.
The Bears want the ball, and the refrigerator almost had it. How many interceptions? You had one, right? Or was that a fumble that you...
No, I got a couple of interceptions, or a couple of fumbles, but I got an interception in my rookie year and carried it all the way for a touchdown, and I still keep the clippings at home.
Gossett to punt it. Lou Barnes deep. Barnes at the 12, lets it kick out of bounds, and it goes out at the 7. Good kick. Indeed. So Chicago, they started from their 4 on their last touchdown drive, will begin this time from the 7.
Ramada wants to know what makes John Madden mad.
Let's replay what happened the last time you tried to check out of a hotel. A slow desk clerk causes a 3-salesman pileup. Boom! You shift formations. Whap! The computer goes berserk. Then you get penalized 15 minutes for unnecessary charges. But don't get mad. Get Ramada. They do everything possible to make your checkout fast and smooth. So you won't get a delay a game. Next time, Ramada.
Call 1-800-2-RAMADA.
When I first saw that skyline, the Prudential Tower was the big building, and they've got them twice as big now, the Hancock and the Sears, the tallest in the world. Well over 100 stories. And we have a great lineup for you the second half after Chicago, Raiders, Denver, Miami, San Diego, Jets, Buffalo, Cincinnati, Kansas City, Indianapolis at New England, Pittsburgh at Seattle. So stay tuned. You'll receive one of those games in your marketplace. From the 7th, Payton straight ahead for 3. 45-yard punt by Gossett that kicked out of bounds at the 7. Griggs and Clancy in on that last tackle. Again, the Browns playing without 3 key performers. Injured in the game, Al Gross, the safety man who scored the touchdown, the first touchdown of the game. He has been replaced by Felix Wright, 22, and the tight end Ozzie Newsome is out. And Hanford Dixon has been in and out.
Actually, Dixon is in now, so that's good news. He's not currently injured, although he is still obviously nursing a sore thigh.
Calvin Thomas in motion.
You got him, Willie. You got him.
McMahon. And it is complete at the 24-yard line. Willie Gault has his first catch of the day. Gault, the sprinter from Tennessee, who had a terrific playoff, and it was his deep threat that really stretched out the defenses.
Obviously a day in which McMahon has favored passes to his running backs, and suddenly he does go and find Willie Gault. Gault's the kind of receiver that can hurt you deep. He still is not a nifty receiver in the shorter zones, but he did take Hanford Dixon on a rather long trek that time and then bring him back to the sideline where he was able to pick up the first down.
That's the first reception by a wide receiver for the Bears. It comes with a minute and a half remaining in the third quarter. 31-21, Chicago leads. On first down, it's Payton. Kicking his way free, but dropped for a loss as he's smothered by 4 white jersey Browns. Felix Wright, 23. 22. Anthony Griggs, 53 in there. 3-yard loss.
Dick, one of the things you can notice if you look at this particular play is the amount of room that the Cleveland Browns leave between their nose tackle right there, Bob Golick, and the center, Jay Hilgemer. Go ahead and turn it loose. His job is basically to move laterally to try and fight against the run. You see him there as he gets shielded off, but the rest of that Browns defense doing an excellent job of containing the running play there. But see how far he is off the ball? You see him again right there.
2nd and 12, and McMahon with a roll to the left side, and he's going to run it and has some room.
Look out.
And out of bounds at the 29, maybe the 30. Run out by number 23, Mark Harper, a rookie from Alcorn State.
That's one of the differences between these two teams. Certainly the Browns, a read and flow kind of football team, basically.
Well, Philadelphia, the Rams, and Houston all with more than a touchdown lead late, as is the case with Detroit, San Francisco, and Atlanta. And here, Chicago with a 10-point advantage as we tick it down to the 46-second mark, third quarter. Ball at the 30. It'll be 3rd down and 4. Dennis Gentry in motion. McMahon in traffic. Down he goes at the 20. That's the first sack of the day for the Browns. Sam Clancy, an 11th round pick by Seattle in 1982, acquired from the Seahawks last year, made the play.
We've got an interesting line stunt here going. Watch it as we get a tackle driving inside. Now watch Sam Clancy right here. He'll slide around from the backside and go all the way around to make the sack on McMahon. Watch it first as you get the other tackle from 78, Hairston, who clears the way for him. But Clancy is the next basketball player with long, long arms all the way around the backside to make the sack.
Maury Buford comes in to punt and will have to kick into the wind. I think the Bears were hoping that clock might run down in the quarter so he would have the advantage of a following win, but with 25 seconds left, Buford will have to deliver. McNeil, Gerald McNeil at the other end at the Browns 39.
No.
Off the side of his foot. And that one will kick out of bounds in Bears territory at the 45-yard line. So Cleveland will take advantage of a 25-yard punt, or at least is placed in an advantageous position with 10 seconds left in the third quarter.
Special team scales tipping on Cleveland's side on that play as Buford scuffs one, and the Browns have excellent field position. You don't think Ditka wants to explain that that's not the way he wants it done?
Woof. Well, what can you say? He knows he made a bad kick. Ditka isn't going to let him just walk to the bench without hearing about it.
Mike says, hey, how are you going to know if you did something wrong if nobody tells you?
Thanks, Coach. Probably the last play of this third quarter. Kozar going long for Slaughter, and it's well covered by Reggie Phillips, number 48.
Slaughter wanted a bump on that one. Phillips running with him all the way. Slaughter's made some good plays today.
Yes.
They like him. Here's the run between the two of them. You can kind of judge for yourself. Rather incidental contact, but you see Slaughter saying, hey, what about this guy?
Slaughter earned the nickname Incredible Webb, playing off his first name, Webster Slaughter, at San Diego State. He's a rather outstanding saxophonist, played on the high school jazz band champions out in San Diego.
Can you mail in and get nicknames? I've always wanted one.
You had one, the Mule. You didn't like it, though. Kozar drilling it, and Slaughter catches it, and then he's drilled by the Bears. Reggie Phillips was there first, a 5-yard gain. The gun, the end of the third quarter. And we'll be back after these messages from your local station. 15 minutes to go here in Chicago. The Bears leading 31-21. Cleveland with the ball at the Chicago 40-yard line. A big play here for the Browns if they're to try to extend this drive. It's 3rd and 5. Ernest Spiner, the only man in the backfield, and now Kevin Mack takes his place. Spiner moves out on a wing. Kozar has a man open. It's Brian Brennan. And the little wide receiver from Boston College has a first down at the 28-yard line. Mike Richardson on the play. 12 yards for Kozar.
One of the questions that's been asked about Kozar is how aware of what's happening upfield he is, what kind of vision he has. I got to tell you, off of this performance today, you've got to be impressed. And I mentioned his lack of experience. You know, he didn't play as a sophomore in high school. They had about a 6-game season because of a strike of some kind his junior year. Everything his senior year. 2 years in college, and then into the pros last year. He hasn't played a lot of football.
First down for the Browns, trying to cut into the Bears' 10-point advantage. Kozar just threw that one away. He was going to have to eat it. Otis Wilson in on top of him. They tried a little play-action fake, and Wilson didn't buy it a bit. Through 3 quarters, the statistics, 250 yards for the Bears, 243 for the Browns, and possession time about the same. It has been well played and evenly played, the difference being the Wilbur Marshall 58-yard interception touchdown and a kickoff return touchdown, 91 yards by Gentry for the Bears.
Very even game, and I think because of the kind of defenses that Vince Tobin has put in, the Bears are not going to enjoy as big an advantage in possession as they had last year.
2nd and 10, a draw to Mack. And he just gets short yardage down to the 23. Mike Singletary stayed at home and made the play. Number 50, Mike Singletary. Man that is just, wherever you go, you hear rave reports on the quality of this man and how intent he is on being, well, he's proven himself as a Pro Bowl player, but not satisfied with that. He really thinks that he can be so good, he'll be the league's most valuable player as a defender.
He's had a tremendous responsibility in being the emissary for Vince Tobin, too. They've changed their whole defensive terminology. I'd hate to think of how many hours he has spent in meetings and with film and studying with Vince Tobin. It's got to be incredible in the last few months.
3rd and 6 for Kozar. Gets away from one man and then hits Fontenot for a first down at the 16-yard line. 7 yards on the play. Herman Fontenot from LSU, a second-year man, and Kozar did a good job of getting away from the pressure and throwing a strike on the run.
Not bad for a slow-footed quarterback. Huh? They say he does not have great mobility, but what he has is escapability. And I think sometimes knowing where the open area is and just being able to take a couple of steps is all a quarterback has to do. He doesn't have to be able to run brilliantly, just able to take a couple of steps and get a little bit of time.
That's a second key third down pass completion for Kozar on this drive. Remember, he hit Brennan to extend it at midfield. This is Feiner to the 14, and Fensick almost in late on the tackle. Singletary was there in plenty of time.
Lindy Infante said that they're going to use quite a bit of the two-back offense. You know, you'll notice that they very often line up with two backs in the backfield, and then will shift Feiner out to a position on the flank or put him in motion. But very often they will go with the two backs out of the backfield. And, of course, that's very effective because both Feiner and Mack are excellent blockers.
Feiner has gained only 20 yards rushing today on 12 carries. His yardage has come as a pass receiver. 85 yards. 2nd and 8. Kevin Mack trying to turn the corner, plows to about the 8-yard line, and that will be short of a first down. Dan Hampton, number 99, first man there. Washington by 20, Rams by 13, Houston by 28. Detroit leads by 10. 49ers 17-point lead in Atlanta by 25. And now another injury. Cleveland Browns, Kevin Mack, the man who carried the ball, has not gotten up yet. So this could be a very costly game for the Browns, and playing very well. They've lost Al Gross, they've lost Ozzie Newsome, and now we'll see about Mack.
Dick, that's one of the points that we always make. You've got to stay healthy in this game. The Bears did it last year. They made it to the Super Bowl.
Kevin Mack being attended to as he left the field under his own power. He was feeling for his left shoulder, and you see him reaching inside his shoulder pads now, or at least the trainer is. Mack with 2 touchdowns today and part of the Browns' total yardage offense, and they can ill afford to lose him. Herman Fontenot has replaced him, number 28 in the backfield, on 3rd down and a long 2 inside the 10. To Fontenot. Kozar's going to run it to the sidelines. Oh, does he take a lick? It looked like Fensick got him at the 5. A penalty flag is down. Fensick, who gives no quarter, the 196 pounds cast in midair at the quarterback. 2 tough yards indeed for the quarterback Kozar, and we'll check the penalty flag.
Kozar illustrating the fact that he's not afraid to do what it takes to win the game, but that's not what Marty Schottenheimer wants to see him do. And there's the holding call against the Bears defense, which gives them the automatic first down.
Half the distance will be about the same as the gain, although it might take it another yard closer to the goal line.
Vince Tobin sending in his goal line defense. Watch Kozar get leveled.
Defensive holding number 55, half the distance from the dead ball spot. First down.
Oh, so it'll be marked off from the 5-yard line to the 2.5.
Very costly penalty.
Otis Wilson guilty of the hold. Marty Schottenheimer, what a good job he's done, this 43-year-old former Pitt Panther. He and Ditka grew up in the Pittsburgh area. Both went to the University of Pittsburgh. They're only a year apart. He is his own intensive style. Oh, the Browns trailing by 10. 2.5 yards away from cutting the lead to 3.
First and goal.
Fontenot replacing Mack. And he gets nothing. Play was slowed down by Marshall fighting off the interference, turning it inside.
You've got to believe there were about 8 black jerseys. They're not black, though.
No, they're navy blue.
Navy blue
navy
jerseys
blue.
out there. They look awfully dark from up here. They were all over him.
And another injured Cleveland player is Harry Holt, the tight end, playing in back of Ozzie Newsome.
And Holt, of course, most known for his blocking abilities. Very valuable member of that Cleveland crew. They already used Bill Kontz, a offensive tackle, as a third tight end, but now they're down to one tight end, Travis Tucker. We haven't seen much of him. Holt walking well. I'm sure we'll see him. Kevin Mack on the sideline. They've got his shirt off. I'm sure they're checking for a separation or a slight separation in that shoulder.
Could be the clavicle. Could be the clavicle collarbone.
Well, we will wait for confirmation of that. We don't want to play doctor from up here in the booth.
But the fact his jersey's off is not a good sign in terms of his play the rest of the day. Second and goal. Into the teeth of the crowd at the far end. Kozar being chased from behind. And incomplete. Intended in the end zone. Dave Dorison knocked it away from Travis Tucker, the third tight end.
And characteristic of their defense of last year, they were coming with the blitz. Dorison able to get in there and really put the heat on Kosar, who had to throw a very low percentage, almost a throwaway pass. Watch number 22, Dorison, right on the heels of Kosar here. Todd Bell blitz from one side, Dorison from the other. Kosar lucky to get that ball off even.
Third and goal. 12.5 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Biner, no way. Dave Dorison in the backfield to drop Biner for a 2.5-yard loss. And the Browns apparently will settle for a field goal that would pull them within a touchdown.
60,000 fans say, hey, that's the kind of defense that we want our Bears to play. They got the ball first and goal on the 2.5-yard line. The ball now on fourth down is out beyond the 5.
Matt Barr was 6 for 6 last week against the Raiders in the last preseason game. And he punches it through. 22-yard field goal for Matt Barr and a timeout. 11 minutes and 48 seconds left. Cleveland trails by 7. Well, Bronco was taken and Crazy Legs was taken, and poor Merlin Olsen felt like he was left without a nickname. And I know earlier it was Mule, but if you had given yourself a nickname, what would it have been?
Moneybags, I don't know. I never did have one. I just couldn't find a good one. If I could, I'd have taken it.
I guess Ole was an obvious one, too. Ball is scooped up by Thomas Sanders, breaks a tackle, breaks another, and finally corralled at the 31-yard line. Mike Ditka very high on this young man, Thomas Sanders from Texas A&M, a second-year player.
Dick, I think it's appropriate here to point out that the Browns are operating at a real disadvantage offensively without Ozzie Newsome, who has consistently been their number one weapon over the last 5 years. Now with Kevin Mack on the sideline, and Harry Holt went out in that last series. I mean, you've got to look down there and say you can't do it without the horses on the field. And Lindy and Fonde working with smoke and mirrors to some degree, but they're only a touchdown back. If they can get the football or a turnover here, they can put themselves in a tie.
11.5 minutes remain. Gentry on the wing in motion. And it's Walter Payton. Likes to throw. He's rocking back and firing. Willie Gault unable to get there. Look at the arm strength of Payton. Ball landed on the 15. He threw it from the 25. It's about 60 yards in the air. Harper and Rockins, two youngsters on the coverage.
You've got to throw that ball to get it away from Galt. You've got to rocket it.
He was 3 for 5 last year with a touchdown pass. Look at a nice, easy form. He didn't really throw with all he had either.
There's a bump that could have easily been called. Rockins getting a bump on the back of Galt. The officials, I guess, feeling that it was incidental to either that or that the ball was not going to be caught, was overthrown.
So career now, Peyton is 11 for 30 passing, 8 touchdowns for Walter through the air.
I thought we had one more.
Look out.
Screen, and it's incomplete. He one-hopped the ball to Suey as McMahon didn't have a lot of time.
Reggie Camp, who was called for a roughing call earlier, really unloaded on McMahon and then turned back to the referee and said, "Are you going to call that one?" And the referee held up his hand. He said, "No, that one was legal."
So 3rd down and 10 for the Bears. 2 incomplete tosses. And McMahon from BYU, the number 1 pick of the Bears in '82. He was the 5th player selected that year. Number 9, it was Billy Wade who wore number 9 in '63, the last time before last year that the Bears won the NFL championship. Flag down. The Browns, I believe, were offside. The pass is good for a lot more, though, and a first down out at the 45. Willie Golden. How did that ball get through the Browns defense?
Ralph Malone, right defensive end, was offside on that play. And very often when someone is offside, a defense will kind of slow down. They know the call is coming. Boy, you just don't want to do that. You've got to play it out.
90, defense offside, decline the penalty.
That's Ralph Malone.
First down.
Take the 14-yard gain.
Here is Galt on the outside, working on number 23, Mark Harper. And Harper playing man-to-man. And we mentioned that that's it, the bump-and-run technique. Harper not yet experienced enough to sense that that ball was coming, or he might have been able to knock it away.
Well, in the semantics of injuries in football, the report is that Kevin Mack suffered a deep shoulder bruise, which we hope is only that, but will not play any more today. Walter Payton. To the Browns' 43, 42-yard line. Eddie Johnson finally got him. Oh, he certainly works with his blockers well.
Excellent block by Tom Thayer, number 57, in front of Payton. I got a good block on the outside. You'll see, I think we'll see the block by Thayer. Bortz also pulling. There was the block by Thayer. Right there. Good job. Bortz also got a good block. You know when those linemen are cracking down on people, you're in good shape.
McMahon has come out of the game, and Mike Tomczak from Ohio State, a second-year man, is in, and they're looking at the neck of McMahon. Obviously, they don't want us to see what they're doing. From the 43, hand off to Suey. He bangs forward for 5 more.
Talking to him about his shoulders.
May have been hurt on that screen pass when he went down hard, when Camp got him.
Reggie Camp, as we mentioned, buried him on a play a little bit ago. Cato, the trainer, talking to him, along with the team doctor there.
9.5 minutes left in the game. 31-24. The Bears lead it, and it's second down and about 5.5. Mike Tomczak. Up on top has Willie Galt. And Galt catches it anyway despite the flags, and it's a 1st and goal, Chicago. Well done by the young quarterback Tomczak as he hung it up for the speedy Galt to find. 31 yards.
Working on Frank Minifield, who's been most effective at cornerback.
Defense pass interference, 31. Decline the penalty. Take the catch.
And it's Galt.
as Galt stopped on that play. Minifield ran right into him. Willie caught it anyway. Nice pass, though. Hung it up. Put it over the top, as you have to do. Galt adjusting nicely to that ball. Gathered it in. Second pass of the day.
First and goal at the 7-yard line. National Football League rules require that we present away games starting with the opening kickoff to stations in the team's home area. So some of you viewers will be leaving this game in a few minutes for a telecast involving your team. Meanwhile, Walter Payton, focal point of the Browns defense as he gains 3. Here are the games coming up. The away cities of these games, of course, are by NFL rules must see their entire game involving their team. So we will be leaving you obviously before the end of this contest in Chicago, but we hope you enjoy the second game of the doubleheader.
And of course, you'll be getting the 10-minute ticker to let you know exactly what's happening here.
You bet. And any other special highlights, of course, NFL 86 as they continue to look at the right shoulder of McMahon. Second and goal at the 4. Tomczak. That is not good starting or interference, but a good play by Mark Harper.
Mark Harper right on top of the man. Going up, the ball hit him in the back, but he did a good job. Again, playing that tough bump and run technique. Watch it here. He's turning to the ball when that ball strikes him. Good play. And Browns defense stiffening up just as the Bears defense down at the other end of the field. Marty Schottenheimer trying to get down the field so he can get a closer look. I got to tell you that if we have an injury to McMahon, this game could have implications. The injury to Newsome, there could be implications for both these teams that would stretch on into the year.
Third and goal inside the 5. Fake to Payton. Tomczak. Suhey out of bounds at the 2-yard line. So Suhey too close to the sidelines, could not catch the ball and turn into the end zone. So 4th and goal. And no question, the Bears will go for the field goal. They want to lead by more than a touchdown.
There's Jim McMahon on the sideline. Now that is his throwing shoulder that they're working on there. We'll go back to the replay of the live action, and that's got to be so tough for Suhey, who makes the turn only to realize that he's right on the line and can't do anything with that ball.
This is no more than an extra point for Kevin Butler. A 19-yard field goal attempt. Fuller to hold. And he's got it. So the Bears are back in front by 10. Just under 8 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Chicago 34, Cleveland 24. Papa Bear's personal choice, Mike Ditka, has seen his starting quarterback Jim McMahon come out. There's an onside kick that doesn't work. And Tucker, the backup tight end, Travis Tucker, is to the Chicago 49. There's an unusual call. Leading by 10 points. That's often a play you'll see early in a game or if a team's behind. But the Bears try to catch the Browns drifting back, and it doesn't work.
Of course, the reaction when it doesn't work is to give the Browns excellent field position. But I got to tell you, you respect that kind of call. That makes every team in the league, when they play the Bears, tighten up for an onside kick. The time to run those plays is when they're not expected. This one, however, kind of backfired on the Bears.
Bears were offside as well, but declined by Cleveland. As you see the 10-minute ticker updating the other games, and of course, soon they start the second half of the doubleheaders.
Looking down on the sideline, Ditka went over to talk to McMahon, came away very upset. I don't know whether it's because of what he heard about the injury, and he also talked to Dick Stanfill, and I think he's shaking up that offensive line. Maybe because he's angry about the protection that McMahon has not been getting during this game.
Meanwhile, with Kevin Mack out, Herman Fontenot is the other running back for Cleveland. Holdus back in, 81. You saw him in motion, and the pass incomplete to Slaughter. Bernie Kosar, just 22 years of age, with a young set of wide receivers. Slaughter, the rookie from San Diego State. Terry Greer, the veteran from Alabama State, veteran of the CFL, where he set many Canadian Football League records, but has not been a party to the passing game thus far. And there goes McMahon for the Chicago dressing room.
I think what they probably want to do is maybe get an X-ray or get some ice on it, whatever. They're taking him inside.
Kosar down the middle, and it's good for a first down at the 37-yard line. Herman Fontenot, 12 yards. Dave Doerson with a tackle. You see the flak jacket protecting the ribs. And, of course, the shoulder pads removed. And McMahon, the free spirit of the Bears, we'll see how serious that injury is as soon as we receive a report. You'll hear about it.
We talked about it early in the game, the concerns for his durability, and he has been hurt many times, and partly because he simply doesn't care about his health. He'll do anything he can to help his team win.
Says he likes pain. That's an unusual comment.
I'm going to challenge that one.
On first down, Kosar under pressure. And finds Greer. There's the veteran from the CFL, and a first down at the 15. Terry Greer, 22 yards.
What a nice play by Kosar. Looked like he was trapped back there. Dan Hampton had a handful of his jersey. Kosar quickly stepped up into the pocket and rifled a shot right in there. Let's take a peek at it here. Well, we're looking at Greer here. He gets open. Nice job of running the pattern there against Mike Richardson. Not a very good drop by Richardson, who had himself at a disadvantage.
That was an example of Kosar's escapability. First down at the 15. Browns just won't fold up, will they? 6:20 left in the game, and they continue to pressure that Bear defense. Kosar looking for 6. Has a man open and overthrows him. He had Fontenot open in the end zone. Pensick came over at the final moment, but had a pass been down a little lower, that was a touchdown.
Had to get it over the head of Mike Richardson, though, Dick, and he couldn't throw a level shot. I think if he hadn't had a defender right between the two of them, he would have been able to zing it in. But you saw on the right-hand side of your picture, Richardson had jumped up, so Kosar had to get it over his head.
Did not see Richardson. That's a good call.
2nd and 10. They settled for a field goal just a short time ago. They can't afford to do it again. They're running out of time.
Two receivers way out of your picture to the left. And now they bring Greer in motion. Throw the other way, but no chance as they try to get Greer to slip through that double coverage.
The blitz was on. Wilbur Marshall, number 58, all over the top of Kosar, whose only chance was to flip that ball out there quickly and hope the adjustment had been made quickly enough by his wide receiver.
Has anyone been a more important part of this game than number 58?
Certainly couldn't say that. Well, I guess if we're going to make that choice, he's one we've got to consider very quickly.
58-yard touchdown with an interception. He has consistently been a top pressure player.
This is a big down for Kosar without question.
3rd and 10 from the 15 with exactly 6 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Over the middle to Brennan. Brian Brennan, touchdown! Well, they've attacked that pressure defense. The Bears coming with 8 men, and Brennan slipping off the line of scrimmage, wide open over the middle.
The ability to find the open man and to unload that football. Bernie Kosar has done it today.
And Brian Brennan has made some outstanding plays throughout the course of this game. Kosar again showing he can make the big throw on the pressure down, the 3rd down. And they're looking for the pass. Barr has the extra point. And with, first of all, let's check it. A flag is down on the extra point. Let's see whether it counts. 34-31 if it does.
Defense, the middle of the line was offside. The point count, 5 yards on a kickoff.
Well, this is deja vu for the Bear fans. Last year they opened the season at home against Tampa Bay and won 38-28. And, of course, as the season wore on, no one could even get a nibble off that Bear defense, but the Browns certainly have 31 points, but they still trail by 3 with 5:55 left in the quarter.
We turn this loose. We've got a wide shot. Let's open it up and get a chance to look at Brian Brennan
He's going to come around from the outside and just break up. Stop it right there. Stop it right there. There you see him just dipping into the middle, getting a little screen on that side, and then driving up through the middle. Number 86 there, Brian Brennan. We saw him make some great catches early in this game, and the race is not always to the swift. Sometimes it goes to the guys who know how to get good position and then can catch that football.
And you see from that angle how difficult it is for the quarterback. It looks so easy when you're up high, but he's throwing through arms and jumping bodies and trying to find a man, even though that's a short pass, hit him on the move. And Kosar, with that 6'5" height, able to see through some of that and makes a perfect throw. Barr. Willie Gault. That's interesting. Ditka puts Gault back to return that kickoff, and Gault out to about the 27-yard line, where he's knocked down by Mike Johnson. Let's go back. See, just look from the other side, what Kosar is seeing as he tries to search out his receiver.
Look at that sidearm throwing action, though. That always bothers me, Dick. If he wasn't 6'5", he'd have a lot of them knocked down. But he seems to sling that ball sidearm, but you sure can't complain about what he's done with that sidearm motion.
Boy, Ted Nathanson and this camera crew doing a great job of capturing that action. Larry Cirillo, our producer here at Soldier Field, anxious and excited about getting this season underway. Tomczak for the injured McMahon at quarterback. Breaks loose. Could be intercepted. Almost picked off by Gault over Mark Harper.
That's the advantage of not having those extra few inches of height. And Dick, it's interesting to take a peek at that scoreboard and realize that this Bear team that gave up only 10 points in 3 playoff games has now given up 31 points in this game against a team that probably wouldn't have been measured on par with some of those that they played against in the playoffs last year. And that means that Vince Tobin is going to be challenged a bit. I think they'll rake him pretty good in the press. And one of the dangers, after having made changes in the defense that was so successful, is that you might have some complaining begin on the team itself. Questions being asked. Maybe this isn't as good a defense as we played under Buddy Ryan.
Mike Tomczak down the middle. Almost intercepted by Chris Rockins, intended for tight end Tim Reitman. 3rd and 10. Now, Tomczak on the last 2 throws dangerously close to being picked off.
Now, we talked about Bernie Kosar being a young quarterback. Tomczak made big strides in the preseason this year, but he is still a very young quarterback and has at times made some poor choices in the way he threw the football. In fact, in talking to Ditka yesterday, I said, if McMahon were to go down, who would you put in? Would it be Tomczak or would it be Fuller? He said, if I needed to come from behind, it would be Tomczak. If I was protecting a lead, it would be Fuller. And yet, suddenly we've got Tomczak. That's perhaps an indication of his respect for the Browns.
3rd and 10. Hand off to Gentry. That's going to work for a first down. Out to the 40-yard line. Oh, the Browns looking pass, and the Bears with a great play call. They'll have another 4 downs with 5 minutes and 15 seconds left. The 10-minute ticker as we come to a close of these games. One still in doubt. The Rams lead by only 6 at St. Louis. A final. Atlanta beats New Orleans 31-10. Detroit beats Minnesota 13-10. Atlanta with a win. And the first 4 o'clock games, Denver jumps in front early against the Raiders at home. Jets, Buffalo, no score. San Diego scores early. And so does Kansas City against Cincinnati.
I bet they didn't get as many scores early as we did.
First down at the 40. Peyton gets a good block and has 10 more yards before dipping out of bounds at the 50-yard line. Frank Minifield finally ran him out of bounds, and that's 90 yards now for Walter Payton on the afternoon. One of his touchdowns. Rushing and one on a pass reception.
I mentioned earlier that Ditka had talked to someone about switching that offensive line, and I see that they have changed
Van Horn is out of there. Becker is in at that right tackle position, Dick.
First down at the 50. 4:35 left. Tom Zach stays on the ground and gives to Payton again. Oh, he's here again. When he is hit, he's driving defensive players backwards, and he had 3 men on him, and he still gained 2. Play Matthews there first.
Felix Wright, number 22, the man who took the brunt of Payton's thrust, and he uses his body so well. And I have always felt that one of the marks of the great backs is they don't go backwards when they're hit. They make other people go backwards. Huh? He certainly did in that case, and Wright had good position on him.
He's he's less than 50 yards now from the 15,000 career yardage mark. 2nd and 8, and Tom Zach's going to throw. Over the middle, wide open Reitman, the tight end from UCLA, has a first down at the 34-yard line. Well executed before Anthony Griggs can make the tackle. And now the Bears with that 3-point lead, 34-31, chewing up the clock, maintaining possession and driving toward possibly a clinching touchdown.
The one thing you don't want to do here is turn the ball over. You continue to drive, you eat that clock, you only need a couple of more first downs, and you can walk out of here with that 3-point win, and that's a win. Nobody's going to remember how tough this was in January.
Payton. He stepped out of bounds at the 14-yard line. Make it the 15. But Payton, with that run, is over the 100-yard mark. 74th time in his incredible career.
Payton again, getting good blocking. Good acceleration. That's Tom Thayer, the guard. What a great block. Blocked one man and cut 2 more down. And Payton taking. Watch the block by number 57 Thayer on the outside. He gets a bump right there. And watch him as he cuts right across. Takes 2 bodies out. What a nice play.
Out of bounds. Step Payton at the 15. Stops the clock. 2:50 left. Suey, a yard.
You notice that Ditka, whom I'm sure is having an impact on the way these plays are being called, has gone to a very conservative ground attack. Eat that clock and don't put the ball in the air. Johnny Rowland, offensive line coach over there, Dick Stanfill, or offensive backfield coach, Dick Stanfill, the offensive line coach, both getting their 2 cents worth in along with Ed Hughes.
With that clock running under 2:30, the Browns knew that if they didn't call a timeout, the Bears would just let that 30 seconds run out without having to run a play at the 2-minute warning. So Schottenheimer wisely spends a timeout. Officially, Walter Payton has carried 21 times today for 110 yards. In his 12th year, but only 32. He graduated from Jackson State in 3.5 years. He was only 20 years old when he left school. That accounts for his relative youthful age, 32. It just seems as if a man with those numbers should be much older. But what a wonderful boy he is. There's so much youth in him.
Well, he has fun playing the game, and I think it's one of the reasons that he has been able to be so successful for such a long time. That and the fact that he stayed in such fantastic condition physically. He's been very lucky, too. You can't survive that long without some good fortune.
The 5th man ever to be on a Wheaties box cover, and he said that was a significant honor. Bob Richards was the first, the vaulting vicar, pole vaulter of the 50s, Bruce Jenner, Mary Lou Retton, Pete Rose, and Walter Payton with that honor. Bernie Kosar hoping he has a chance to pull out a big upset here in Chicago. 34-31 the score. You may be looking at those emergency plays as time winds down. 2:25 left, and it's 2nd and 9. Tom Zach to Galt. He's out of the end zone, but a flag is down in the end zone. They're going to call interference on the Browns, I believe.
Some costly penalties. Chris Rockins, 37, his head down in disgust. I don't know whether they're calling it on him or he's just reacting for someone else.
Holding against the Browns. Not interference, so that'll be a first down penalty and 5 yards, not the ball marked to the 1 yard line.
The Browns have really hurt themselves.
Number 31. That's a 5 yard penalty, and that's a first down.
Frank Minifield. So Rockins just disappointed because he could see a 3rd and 10 coming and an opportunity to get that ball back. Now with 1st and 10, additional time will come off that clock.
And goal from the 9.
First and goal at the 9 yard line.
Watch this hit from the backside.
Griggs hit.
Griggs, yes, Anthony Griggs.
Clearly out of bounds was Galt, but it's first and goal, 9 yard line, 2 minutes and 19 seconds left, and Cleveland with 2 timeouts remaining. Plus that 2 minute timeout. But they must hold the Bears to a field goal in this spot, and Payton has other ideas. To the 6. He's looking for his 100th rushing touchdown in his fabulous career. First we go to New York.
Dick, let's check out the debut, and an auspicious one at that, of Jim Kelly. First Buffalo drive. Here's the flip to Greg Bell. Touchdown, 1 yard. In a 53-yard scoring march, Kelly completed 3 of 3. Dick?
Walter Payton. He's at 99 career rushing touchdowns, one of those today. The offensive line change made by Mike Ditka, that surprise you?
In a way, I think maybe he was angry at Van Horn because it was Reggie Camp coming in over Van Horn that obviously buried McMahon, and I think in anger, Ditka may have reacted by simply taking Van Horn out and putting Becker in. That's a story we won't be able to follow, but I think if we watch the papers here tomorrow, Ditka usually doesn't keep that kind of thing quiet.
Well, the Chicago Bears, who had that highly successful music video last year, have come up with a new one. And here's a little sampling of what they're up to in 1986.
The Bears are going to repeat a Super Bowl champs because we're playing for keeps and we're here to stay.
Man said here to stay.
They're here to stay, says Walter Payton, who's looking for Payton's place, that end zone. 2:10 left in the fourth quarter. Second and goal, Suey. Oh, look at the effort by Suey for a touchdown. Matt Suey hit by 4 or 5 Cleveland defenders and refused to go down.
Suey going to start to his left and cut it all the way back against the grain. Griggs gets a piece. Matthews gets it, or not Matthews, but Sam Clancy gets a piece of him there, but Matt Suey wasn't going to be denied. Just kept plowing and kept those big legs driving. Put himself in the end zone.
An impressive drive directed by the backup quarterback, Mike Tomczak. And it's 41-31 with 2:01 remaining in the fourth quarter.
A day of emotional roller coasting here in Chicago.
So Jim McMahon back being X-ray, the right shoulder. Mike Tomczak, number 18, the second-year quarterback from Ohio State, directs the Bears under considerable pressure, and he used that man intelligently, that's for certain. Walter Payton to consume time and score a touchdown that may well have clinched this game. The 10-minute ticker reads this way. Washington apparently opens with a win against Philadelphia. The Eagles will come here next Sunday. The Rams eke out a win at St. Louis. Houston impressively beats Green Bay. Detroit a 3-point winner over Minnesota. Two teams involved in the Central Division of this NFC. The Bears' home area. San Francisco, a big winner today. In the late games, Denver 7, the Raiders nothing. Buffalo, you saw Jim Kelly, an impressive drive to start the game. San Diego takes the early lead against Miami. New England scores first against the Colts. Kansas City, a 7-0 leader over the Bengals. And Pittsburgh, Seattle, scoreless in the Northwest. Next week we'll have pleasure being at RFK in the nation's capital to see the Raiders against the Washington Redskins. That should be a most interesting game. Butler kicks it off for the Bears. McNeil, a yard deep, is going to take it out. Little guy skipping through some tackles and returns to the 25. Fumbled the ball, but apparently after the whistle. Ron Rivera, one of the early Bears downfield to get a piece of 143-pound Gerald McNeil.
I got to tell you, if I was on a kickoff coverage team, that guy would scare me to death. He comes up in there flying and has such great speed. You give him a seam, he's gone.
1:50 left out, timeout. Welcome back with 1:50 left, and Cleveland with just one timeout remaining and trailing 41-31.
75 yards between them and the goal line. They'll try and get something deep quickly, and of course, if they can, they'll come back with the onside kick. But Dick, I would have to say that Ditka is not going to have to work hard to find things to point out to his team and indicating to them that this was not the kind of beginning that a Super Bowl champion should make. They obviously will win this game, or apparently will win this game, but Mike has not been pleased, and he'll be able to be very direct in approaching both the offense and the defense to show them why they've got to play better if they want to repeat as Super Bowl champions.
That 21-point first quarter featured an interception, 58-yard touchdown, and a kickoff return touchdown. Brennan with his fifth catch of the afternoon. The little receiver knows how to get open. A dozen more for Brennan, who also has a touchdown catch today. Raiders, Denver, Miami, San Diego, Jets, Buffalo, Cincinnati, Kansas City, Indianapolis, New England, Pittsburgh, Seattle, the second game of our doubleheader. The late nature of this one, almost a half hour longer, but stay with us. We'll all see another game. Singletary breaks that one up. And we'll all see one, with the exception of the audience here in Chicago, and that you can only get one game in your home city when your team's at home. But I know the folks here in Chicago, stay tuned for a very important recap of the game. .121 left. 2nd and 10 for Kosar. Dumps it off to Biner. Oops. Did not get out of bounds. Stayed in bounds. The clock continues to run. Time now for our Most Valuable Player Award, sponsored by Budweiser. Today's MVP, Walter Payton, for the Bears. Budweiser will donate $1,000 to the United Way on behalf of Walter Payton, who had another big day, a couple of touchdowns, rushed for over 110 yards. Tipped and almost intercepted.
I would say, looking across the field, because obviously there are a lot of Cleveland fans tuned in, and you've got to be impressed what that young man has done today, Bernie Kosar. There was conversation about the fact that if Danielson had not been injured last week against the Raiders, that he would have started this game. Well, I think Bernie Kosar has already demonstrated to us that he can certainly play this game at this level very effectively. Against even the best heat the Bears could bring today, he has been very effective.
4th and 9. Last gasp for the Browns. Biner does not have the first down. Tackled at the 46-yard line. He's a yard and a half short. And the Bears will take over on downs. Clock stops with a change of possession, 41 seconds. The Bears, 339 total yards today, compared to 145 per game last year. So either the Browns are much, much better offensively than many figured, or the Bears' defense just did not have a good day, and
probably a combination of the two, Dick, but certainly reflecting at this early juncture on the game, I think that there is great concern on both sidelines, certainly for Kevin Mack, for Ozzie Newsome on the Cleveland sideline, and a great concern, I'm sure, on the Bears sideline for their quarterback, Jim McMahon.
There'll be a lot of unanswered news when we say goodbye from Soldier Field that will be pertinent information either later today or morning papers tomorrow. Thomas Sanders to the 43. And the clock is running. I want to thank our spotters, John Engler, Gil Haggard, Dick Boson, Craig Chabelle, John Rice for their help, Joe Costanza and his corps of support. Everyone kept busy with the numbers today, with 72 points scored. Marty Schottenheimer, a wave across to Mike Ditka. And work will begin immediately on next Sunday's encounter. Walter Payton, the Chicago Bears,